Everyone. Let's start on the second part of budget study section. Last week we finished, actually 2 weeks ago, we finished the first part for the general budget for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. We still have many questions, and each individual questions we already in contact with the city manager and each department. We are working on that. Hopefully we can get more information we can either understand or we can solve our questions. Yeah. So today I would like to pass to Sue. Let's continue for capital improvement project.
Great. Good afternoon, Mayor Ding and council members. So as Mayor Ding just said, we'll be presenting the CIP, the water, cemetery, and other funds fiscal year 22-23 proposed budgets. Then in addition, I'm going to provide an update on a couple of changes that we made to the general fund budget since the study session on May 4th. We're also going to discuss the staffing changes for the fiscal year 22-23 budget, and then we'll give a quick overview of transfers between funds and general fund reserves. So I'm going to start with the changes to the general fund since our last meeting. There were just a few changes. We re-reviewed the franchise tax revenue and realized we had probably underestimated it, and so we increased it by $112,000. So that increased our general fund revenues by the same dollar amount, $112,000. And then there were a few changes to general fund expense. We just received updated health benefit information, so the medical benefits have increased slightly. One of the staffing changes I'll be discussing next did increase salaries and benefits by approximately $70,000. And I'm sorry, there's nothing in your budget book right here today that has anything that shows this, right? We don't have the revenue. Okay. So I'm just, is this kind of an overview of what the changes were? Okay.
Yeah, that is right.
Okay. So anyway, so one of the staffing changes I'm discussing next did increase salary and benefits by approximately $70,000. And then lastly, as the CIP budget was finalized, the transfers out from the general fund to the CIP funds were decreased by $225,000. So the net effect of the changes increased the general fund surplus by $270,000. So good news. So the staffing changes that I'm proposing for fiscal year 22-23, and these are already in the budget, include 2 promotions. One of the changes will be in the police department, where we're promoting a longtime administrative clerk to an administrative assistant. And then second change will be in administration, where we're promoting our part-time management analyst to a part-time senior management analyst / PIO. And then the final staff addition is going to be a new classification in the city manager's office. And the title will be assistant to the city manager. So with my 5 years experience here at the city, I've had a good deal of time to review the organizational structure. And my previous position as assistant city manager / administrative services director, where I oversaw finance, human resources, and risk management, was completely inward focused on the organization. So I really couldn't provide the kind of complex outward facing assistant the city manager needed. Therefore, I'm proposing to create an assistant to the city manager, and this position will provide highly complex staff assistance to the city manager, will attend council meetings and work sessions, research, respond, and perform necessary follow-up and communications with city management and city constituents. They will also serve as a management liaison to various boards, committees, and citizen advisory groups. And then, in addition, this position will take over managing our city's affordable housing programs. They will seek and apply for grants, coordinate and work on sustainability and climate action initiatives. And this part, the city affordable housing kind of management, has really not been done at the city before. The planning department has done that, but it's really important. It's become really like something visible and something that needs to be managed well. This position will have the same salary range as the city clerk, and it'll be, I'm proposing it to be funded 30% from the Housing Trust Fund and 70% from the general fund. And then also with this change, I'm proposing that the Assistant City Manager be removed from the Administrative Services Director classification, because it really is inward focused, not really an Assistant City Manager as you would normally see in a city. And if it's vacant right now, if it's filled in the future, it would still oversee finance, human resources, and risk management. But I'm proposing that it remain vacant until the new city manager is hired so that they can determine how that position will be used.
Well, could I just comment?
Absolutely, comments, questions.
Well, I gave you a big hug when you told me this. I have been begging city managers in the past to do this position because I thought it made such great sense. And it's absolutely wonderful. Everybody here is new. You have not a lot to compare it to, but it will make a huge difference in the way that the city is managed. So I really, really appreciate, no ego. It's like, I don't necessarily need the help, but we need to do this to make it run right. I'm so pleased with your decision. I really appreciate it.
Great.
I remember the last year we talked about, and I believe this was maybe last summer at some point, a lot of like smaller cities in Sonoma County have the same issue with managing their affordable housing units, and I'm talking about specifically units that currently exist that are deed restricted. And we were talking about possibly sharing that sort of, I guess, role or job with other cities. Is there any sort of update on that? And because it sounds like this new assistant city manager would sort of just do that for Sonoma.
Right.
And in the past we had talked about, because it's not going to take a tremendous amount of time to do that, having one person do that sort of in the county for various cities. And I'm just curious.
Well, the county does handle some of the affordable housing, but we did hire a contractor to come in and just get or they're still working on it, but to get all of the affordable housing, get the deed restricted, know who's in those properties, because really there's certain things that people need to comply with to be able to use those affordable housing, and that's something that really hasn't been managed well. I wasn't aware about sharing with other cities. It's a possibility, but I feel like if somebody has the right experience, we can manage it in-house, and sharing with other cities might, it's a possibility, but it's something.
Well, yeah, I guess I would just like to follow up a little more on that, because I know that was discussed. I think Katati and Sebastopol, like smaller cities that have the same situation, there was discussion about sort of jointly funding one person to sort of do it. And the only reason I bring that up is because I think, as you described, that assistant city manager, or assistant to the city manager, I don't know if anyone has ever seen The Office. There's a whole episode about assistant to the regional manager, assistant regional manager. Anyway, I appreciate this. But anyway, what I was going to say before I got off track there was, I guess my only concern about that, because I love the idea of it as you describe, is dipping into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Right.
Because it's sort of small at this point. We're trying to build it up. And I would be at least supportive of, I guess what is the rationale for dipping into that fund versus just using general fund dollars for the...
Well, my theory on that was because one way to increase that fund is to get some grant funding, and we don't have anybody concentrating on that either. I get notifications all the time about CDBG grants and funding that we're not taking advantage of, and so that's something that this person would also be concentrating on, that kind of grant funding. I also have in the budget grant contractor. That would be more focused on public works planning, transportation, those kinds of grants. But I feel like somebody who has the experience, has possibly the housing experience, would really benefit the city, and I think we could spruce up our program quite a bit. So, and increase funding for that fund.
And I have, again, no issue with that. I guess why not just use general fund dollars to help build? I mean, why use the salary?
I just felt like it's related to the Housing Trust Fund. It's related to, and it's actually within the guidelines for the Housing Trust Fund. So That was just a. it
Well,
was a-
yeah, no, I mean, again, there's no disagreement with like the role. It's just, I guess, funding the position. And
Right.
I'm just curious what maybe the rest of the council thinks about that issue.
Right now, you're using 70% from the general fund and the 30% from the housing.
Yes, yeah.
So the only thing I see is similar going on in the county is that Sotomayor, but he's over homeless of I think 4 or 5 cities, and
Yes.
that comes from TOT, I guess from all the cities. So I'm not familiar with what you're offering, but I know that they do that up north.
Oh, yeah, no, there was just a discussion like last summer with David Storr and others, and maybe our former city manager, about this potential administrator to work with small Sonoma County cities.
Right, and I just, when I looked out at other cities to see how they were managing their housing programs, a lot of times it was the assistant to the city manager who was doing that. And to me, I've noticed just in the last couple of months, like some of our housing, our affordable housing is coming up, like the contracts are expiring. Not a lot, but the new ones we have are, like sort of eternal contracts, but the older ones are not. And so we need somebody to manage this, somebody who has some experience managing this, so.
I just hope that we have so much more affordable housing that we will need somebody to manage it. And I think if the intent of the role is to increase the grants for affordable housing, then that's fair enough. If we start to see that that's not happening, I think that it's fair to relook at it and just, regard it as an administrative job. But, we should make the goal that this, at least 30% of, should pay for itself. I know that there are grants out there. I know that, we could be far more aggressive on that. So, I'm supportive of it, but I'd like to see sort of, progress report to see exactly how much is coming in and how much we're able to expand our affordable housing offerings in the city.
Right,
In which
and I
case-
think that definitely we would take a look at it every year. We actually take a look at our allocations every year, just to make sure that we're, allocating staff correctly to the, to the right departments. And we did do a formal cost allocation plan, and, at the time, it was 5 years ago, but it was interesting because they had staff allocated a certain way, and we did the formal plan, and it really came out to be exactly how we were previously allocating it. So, but it's definitely you take a look at it every year, because sometimes positions change and they're, they're not really, working for general fund anymore. They're totally working for water or those kinds of things. So that's something we look at every year.
Yeah,
But I agree.
would hope that we would, like, on subsequent agendas, know that, oh, we've applied for this grant, or, through communications from you, applied for this grant, or we just received this, or something, just to kind of keep us aware of what's going on.
Sure, yeah, I agree.
I guess, I certainly support this position, but I was thinking a little bit about tapping the housing trust fund for 30%. It seems counterproductive to reduce that to the level that it doesn't do much to actually allow us to produce housing. And I guess I would rather see us at least reduce that percentage, or try to tap it out of the general fund and hope that grant writing might supply some of that money back, rather than using the housing trust fund per se to fund that position.
How much is the 30%? Like $25,000 or?
Well, it's about 76, right, to the general fund, and isn't that what it was? I just said the number, so.
Or you can explain why you're gonna put in a 70 and a 30,
Right,
which kind of the base.
70,000. It's 70,000 to the general fund, so it's 30,000 to the housing trust.
I would just like to see that fund accumulate more so that we have a viable fund to do something with.
And we can change the allocation. I just thought, as far as somebody concentrating on housing and grants, and so that you know, I would just,
Oh, in
If-
theory, I agree with that
Yeah.
approach, it's just that the fund is so small.
Yeah.
That there's
Yeah.
not much available to work with.
no, yeah, and actually, how much we're putting almost 600,000 in this year from TOT, so that's gonna really help. But again,
I'm
it's,
sorry, what did you just say?
we're close to 600,000 putting in it just from the TOT, so. yeah. So again, I mean, that's, you know, this is a proposal, so if council isn't, would like to change it to 100% general fund, we can do that.
How about the homeless issue? Is it related, or you want to include, or we have it separate? Because we recently talked about maybe coordinator, maybe it's not coordinator this position. They have the coordinator this kind of function. I'm wondering this new position
Right.
where
We've actually put 30,000 in the budget previously, and we talked about that, but there's 30,000 for a homeless contractor to continue to, because we haven't gotten the report from our expert. We're hoping to get that next week, but I think that, we're not solving homelessness. We're getting a report on what's out in the valley and what we can do to coordinate that. So I would, want to continue until we at least have some focus, or, how we're gonna to go forward with that. So there's already 30,000 in the budget for a homeless contractor, so.
So maybe later we discuss more about what
The
kind of
allocation.
reasonable
Okay.
percentage.
That's fine,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
All right, please continue.
So on,
I have one more, I'm sorry.
yes,
The
absolutely.
police, the administrative clerk is promoted to assistant. Are we then keeping
No,
is that a new position?
no, it's just a promotion, so. They have an administrative clerk now, and then we're just promoting it to an administrative assistant.
Okay, so where it says, are we then removing the administrative clerk?
We'll probably complete the class just in case they ever need it, but we
Uh-huh.
don't, but we're not funding it, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I wanted to point out, starting on page 89, and we're not gonna go through them, but are all the general fund department budgets with percentage changes from the fiscal year 21-22 budget to the proposed fiscal year 22-23 budget. That was something that was requested at the last meeting, so those spreadsheets are in there with those percentage changes. Next, I'll talk about general fund reserves, and that's right after tab 5. Very first page, only page. Or I guess it's the first page.
This 89 was city council, is that not looking?
At 89,
89.
starting on page 89 are all the department budgets, the general fund department budgets.
Okay, so
At the last meeting, Councilmember Barnett had requested percentage changes be added, so that's what we did with those
Okay,
budgets.
so I wanted to make a comment again, I think the council's salary should go up to $500. The argument against it was, we shouldn't make that big money, even though we make multi-million-dollar decisions. And if your goal is to give money to charity, just think you don't have to give 300, now you can give 500. So I just wanted to mention that.
And could I say that if we're going to have that conversation, that I don't disagree, but I would like to see something for targeted, so like childcare services. So to make service to this council easier for people to also serve and have a so-called life. And I think that, I don't know how much that would be, but maybe that's part of the conversation that Madeline just brought up. I don't care about the if that's the will of the board, I'm happy to will of the council, but I do want to see something for, a lot of people do not want to serve on city councils and so forth because it's an expense for them. I don't know if that's part of this conversation, but since you brought it up, Matt.
Councilmember Lowe, if I may, I believe that's already in the council protocol resolution that
Oh,
it's
wonderful.
part of the reimbursement. I believe that is one of the pieces.
Okay, well, I'd like to believe that too.
I will, no, I will I'll look
Yeah.
at it again, but I remember that being part of.
Okay, well, that would be great.
And that would be an easy way to, even if it's not in there, we could change that and just add it too.
That would be wonderful, and if we could get that information so that I know people are, considering running for council, it's that time of year, would be, I think, important that people know, what they
And
can
they should,
expect.
I think they should be a 501c3, the nonprofit, you'd not just, if that's what we're talking about.
Well, I'm not talking about that, I'm just talking about
Fine, if you're gonna
reimbursement.
give to a charity for
I'm not
reimbursement.
talking about charities, I'm talking about
Childcare.
childcare.
Oh,
I think that's a great idea. If that's not already in the,
Yeah, we'll
Resolution.
check, because that's
we
an
should
easy
pay for
change, yeah.
childcare.
And I think it should be childcare / elder care as well, because there's a lot of people for whom they are custodians for their parents or others, and they're, I think it's an important piece.
Sure. Okay, and then, Councilmember Agramonte, did you want to put that on an agenda to increase the stipend for council?
I think once this is settled, so people possibly feel more comfortable with that increase, yeah, I'd like,
Also,
Didn't we just vote on it recently?
You did,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, but
Yes.
you
That
voted
we
no.
did.
I
Yeah.
know. So it was
That
settled.
was prior.
No, well, it doesn't have to be, we're here
I
on
think it was,
looking at another budget.
I don't know when, you can phone me on that one.
Yeah, I think we did vote
We
no
voted.
on it, but we didn't at that time discuss these other possible options, which you say are there, and that's wonderful. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, great, okay. Reserves, general fund reserves. So on page, right after tab 5, is the general fund reserve summary. And again, this is projected because we haven't audited our 21-22 financials, but it's a pretty good, we have a pretty good idea of where we'll end up. So what's not on this chart, and I can add it, it makes it a big chart, so it's not in this chart, but in 18-19, the general fund had $9.4 million in reserves. We started with that, and then in fiscal year 19-20, the general fund used $460,000 of reserves due to the pandemic and its economic impacts. So that reduced the total reserve to $9.0 million. In fiscal year 2021, the general fund again used $1.2 million of reserves due to the pandemic, and that reduced our total reserves to $7.7 million.
And the reserves, that stays at 17%? Or-
Yeah, we always
Okay.
allocate that. So
Thank you.
of that, we allocate 17% for general fund expenditures and then 1.5 million for emergency reserve. But the total reserves that we had. And then in fiscal year 21-22, we're projecting that we will increase reserves by 1.9 million. So that'll we'll end up with 9.7 million back up, and that's partially because of the ARPA funding, but also because we had better revenues than we had anticipated.
And may I ask, 1.9 is the ARPA, and specifically, what can we use that money?
So for
Unless it takes too much time, we can.
well, in 21-22, the reserves will be 1.9 million. ARPA funding was 1.3, and so we actually did use it. We could use it to backfill expenses. You can't use it to actually just drop into reserves, but we actually used it for
Because
expenses,
of-
and then it increased our reserves. So, and then for fiscal year 22-23, we are projecting we'll increase the reserves by 1.5 million, and that'll bring the reserves to 11.2. Again, that includes the 1.3 million in ARPA funding that we're getting this year. We have not programmed that. And part of what I think our retreat, council retreat in August, we can have some discussions on where the funding, if we're going to use it, are we going to drop it back into reserves, or use it for expenses so that we can increase our reserves. So that's part of that discussion. And one thing I did want to mention, and I forgot to say it here, but is we have, there is ordinance that says that we will put $25,000 every year into the, what's it called?
Public art fund.
Public Art Fund. And since that was enacted, they've only done it 1 year, because right after it was enacted is when they took redevelopment away, and there just was no funding for it. So we haven't really increased that fund except for the first year when we put funds in.
But it's not within our parameter, it was with redevelopment.
No, it has, I was just saying with redevelopment, we didn't have enough general fund money to put back into the art fund.
Right.
But every year, so what we do in our resolutions is we say, you know, we will not be putting those funds into the art fund. Now, we've had some discussions about the cultural arts program, and because we do have some surplus this year, you know, I would like to talk about, do we want to fund it at $25,000 a year? The percentage of new housing, which is difficult to, but, you know, maybe we could change the ordinance to read, you know, up to 25,000, the city council can allocate to the public art fund. But I would like to have that discussion when we do our retreat. So when we do the resolution for this budget, particular budget, we're going to say that we're not going to do the 25,000, but I will bring it back, just so you know, we're going to bring it back when we talk about
Could I just comment for?
Sure.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So for some time now, I have felt that the arts and history need to be at the table, and they're not really. And, you know, you know, even our Visitors Bureau and Chamber, they don't highlight history. And I think some people actually come here because of this grand and unbelievable history. So it would be nice if we could include historic, whatever that might be. And the council, of course, they don't have to agree, but I just think it's time for them to be at the table.
Right, and I think that's kind of a conversation in the whole cultural arts program that you know, I can't think of her name, but she came in. And she came and talked to us at the council about it, and then I've met with her since then, and just talking about getting that program going. It was very expensive. They did it in Healdsburg, but we could sort of, you know, piggyback on what they've done over there, and then so I think that's part of that discussion that we should have about the goals and you know, for next year.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad that it's part of what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Are you proposing to, going forward, bringing $25,000, putting it into public art, or retroactively all the years we have not done?
Yeah, because retroactively, for one thing, there was not really funds in the budget to put the 25K in, and so what I would suggest is, I mean, we have a surplus, so that, you know, going forward. But the way that the ordinance reads is very confusing, and so instead of just they tied it to, they said 25,000 or a percentage of public building, you know, and it's just it's like a really hard way to, and I would just say, let's just say up to 25,000, you know, and then that would give council discretion on how much to put there instead of trying to figure out what it was. So yeah, so there is about, I think about 17,000 in that fund right now, but it hasn't been used for anything. Although we could have used it for art in the council chambers if we had wanted to, but we didn't do that. So so anyway, that will be I think that's a further discussion that we need to have. So okay.
Before we go further, my question is 17% of a general fund, the budget expenditure. And how we made a decision for the 17% or?
We've read the
Big history.
Yeah, it was. We've gone over that. That is I mean, as for GASB, it's a really. I mean, it's a good percentage. 2 months of expenses is, you know, is pretty similar. You can increase it if you want. We also have the 1.5 million for emergency reserve. So they can really be tapped together. So you know, so that's something to think about too. But yeah, we had a long discussion. We figured 17% was a good percentage of revenues.
It was done before this council, so maybe it's something else that they would like to look at.
Yeah, so we did the whole, we did a lot of
It was a
research, and we
lot.
did the whole reserve policy because it hadn't been updated in a
Because
while.
some cities have 50%. reserve.
Right, but that's difficult.
But that's,
Yeah, that's difficult,
yeah,
on other,
but we felt that it was a good and maybe this council.
yeah, and we do have, I mean, for our budget size, we have substantial reserves. I mean, we're in a good place. Even during the pandemic, we did well. So, and during the fire, I mean, there's just been certain things, but we've managed to keep our reserves at a good level, so.
Yeah, my question is because, and the two reasons I look at this in a number. The first of all, I know we are luckily this year or maybe the next year is the good year, is a shining year. But right now, more and more unexpected disaster are coming. So I wonder, as we gather more income, tax more income, if it's possible, we can increase this 17% to 23% or 25%. Because in this way, we can put more money in our saving just for worst case scenario in the future. That maybe we can.
I mean, that would be a discussion, I think, for
Yeah,
council,
because-
if you want to increase reserves.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'd be interesting to look at how it was done the last time, and probably everything
Yes.
that you shared may have been part of that discussion. I don't remember.
Is there a statutory reserve for city council?
For city council?
Yeah, is there a statutory reserve on a general fund? I mean,
There's best practices.
okay,
Yeah.
what is the best practice?
So it's 15% up to 25%.
Oh, that's quite a range.
Yeah, so, and of course it depends on, because you're working with cities that have $80 million budgets as opposed,
Right.
so really, we're in a very good place for the size of our budget. We have a pretty good reserve, so.
I feel comfortable with reserve as is. I think that the city is doing well. The TOT taxes, et cetera, tourism is back. If we're in this position after pandemic, we're doing well. And I think the citizens of the city and those who take advantage of it deserve us to allocate that money in ways that benefit them. And, I don't think we're running a bank. And, I think the more we invest in our community, it will come back to us. So I worry about, I don't think I'm financially imprudent, but, I worry about going too much, saving so much that we're now taking away services from people who are paying their taxes and deserve to have services. So.
I think that was also discussed.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah,
that would
there's
be
a
great
balance,
to
right.
look at
Yeah.
all of that. Not that I even remember a lot of it, but I mean, I know it was part of it because we really made a big deal out of the reserve.
Right.
Yeah, I generally agree with Councilwoman Lowe. I mean, I think we all believe fiscal prudence is very important, but if we've weathered a once-in-a-century pandemic and fires and power shutoffs, and we still have substantial reserves, moving forward, I think, and I guess this leads to my question. At the end of 18-19, we had $9.5 million in reserves, and then last year, or at the end of this fiscal year, we have 9.7, and then projected at the end of next year 11.2. Do you have a recommendation of if we did want to fund special projects, or et cetera, how much into the reserves we can go?
Well,
In terms
because
of, like,
when I
ARPA
said it, because
funding and
like
everything?
this reserve includes a 1.3, which hasn't been programmed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so, and I think that that's really the discussion, we should have going forward, from that funding, the special funding we got from, are there programs that we want to fund from that, and, how much do we want to increase our reserves, so.
And that discussion is recommended to be at the retreat?
Yeah,
like
I think that's-
after we approve the next fiscal year
Yeah,
budget?
yeah, I think so, because it's, what I'm sort of thinking is that really our general fund reserve is the, is the 1 point.
Yeah, we have the
1.9
Yeah.
minus the 1.3. So really, we have 600,000 in surplus from the general fund this year. We haven't finished negotiations. There's a couple of things that that will probably eat into that surplus slightly. And so we wanna think about that too. But, so we have a good surplus this year, and there's certain things that we talked about funding that are not in this budget yet, so.
So
Okay.
roughly 600K, you think?
Yeah,
The
600.
program, okay.
Yeah, so, and then the 1.3 is the extra gravy that we got. Okay,
Great, thank you.
okay.
Thank you. When is expected the American Rescue Relief Fund? That we-
July.
July.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions on the general fund? Because we're gonna turn to the CIP now, if everybody, yeah? Okay, good. So now we're
I
gonna.
do have,
yeah.
I'm sorry, one
Okay,
question.
no?
Are we gonna go back to the general fund at some point to talk about how we fund our community partners, all that kind of stuff?
We can, our hope is that we can bring it back on June 1st for adoption. So I didn't, we could have a discussion prior to the adoption of that. We did get some, and we didn't bring it, but we did get the rent, what it would be if we were charging rent. We do have that number. And we can bring that conversation back on the 1st prior to budget adoption if you want, or we can have another study session.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
so we have flexibility, we just have to adopt it by the end of,
Right,
I mean,
and-
preferably be by June 15th.
Right, we could actually,
but-
we could, although we're hoping it'll be adopted on the 1st, but, we could definitely bring it, we could have a discussion on the 1st and then we could bring it back on the 15th, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move back to pages, which tab? Page 6. And then we're gonna move right into CIP, water, cemetery, and I'm gonna turn it over to Mike, Chris, and Oriana.
Thanks, and thanks a lot for the opportunity to present this today. We have a lot of information that we're prepared to give you, and it includes project narratives, project budgets. We're gonna be talking about our building and facilities area, creeks and drainage, parks, transportation, and water CIPs today. And I guess that, because it's such a lot of information, that if we get to one that you want to break out and get a little more information on, just go ahead and feel free to ask the question during, and we'll just take a quick break from moving through the packet and talk about specific things. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chris and Oriana.
All right, I think I'm kicking it off with building, and I'm just gonna run through each one of these different divisions and all the projects kind of associated, and then I'll stop for questions, but you can interrupt me if things come up as we go. So in our building and facilities, capital improvement projects, the city's buildings and facilities are critical assets where city and community businesses and activities are conducted. Daily maintenance of the buildings and facilities is provided by city staff with assistance from special contractors. Funding for capital improvement to city buildings and assets with an estimatable useful life and replacement costs is set aside per defined schedules for annual transfers to the city's long-term building maintenance funds. Funding for unforeseen capital improvement needs or to accommodate different uses is budgeted as needed and identified. So our accomplishments for the fiscal year 21-22 is we corrected the basement water intrusion in Carnegie Hall. We completed electrical, mechanical, and structural design for converting the Depot Park Museum HVAC system from natural gas power to electrical power. And we completed transition of City Hall, the Carnegie Library Building, the Corporation Yard, and the Police Department and Council Chambers to 100% LED lighting. In the next fiscal year, our goals are to complete construction of the all-new HVAC system at the Depot Park Museum, assess the Fire Station 1 for scheduled replacement of flooring treatment, installation of automated door operators, and assessment of the timber structural members, and construct a new motor-operated rolling security gate at the Corporation Yard. And then we're gonna roll into our specific project sheets around those goals. The first one is VF2, that's our public works, safety, and facility security at the Corporation Yard. And this project is using a portion of funding that was approved in the 21-22 budget but was not used for security at our corporation yard to replace the gate that was damaged in an accident with a more secure gate with a pin pad installation. Our next project is the City Hall Emergency Power Generator, BF4. We've applied for some HMPP funding for that generator. We don't know yet if we're successful in that application, which is why it's not programmed in this year's funding, but it's pushed out a couple years. If we're not successful with the current application, we'll hope to apply again and get it. And the final project in our building group is the Depot Park HVAC project. Engineering and design of this system has been completed in 2021, and the city hopes to solicit bids for qualified contractors and complete the construction of the new HVAC in the fiscal year 22-23. We have some funding carried over from the 21-22 fiscal year, but we're looking for an additional $20,000 to complete this project that year. Pause there, see if you have any questions with our building group.
We're on building
We're
group,
on
we're not
building.
at Fire Creek yet.
Would signage for the museum, the Depot Museum, be part of this or no?
I don't believe it's in the current thing, but I will ask our operation manager. That's in our current
It was
design.
brought up to me just yesterday that someone who helps out there feels that people don't know it's there, that needs a little bit more awareness and signage. That because there's some great stuff going on there, and I don't know if it's part of this budget or not. So I thought I'd bring it up as a citizen asking.
So that wasn't contemplated in the scope for the HVAC replacement project?
Well, it's not HVAC, of course, but yeah.
So, it wasn't part of, CIP BF 8.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll move us on to creeks and drainage capital improvement program. See, the city's storm drain systems protect the buildings and streets, sidewalks throughout Sonoma from flooding when it rains, and helps the citizens, businesses, and visitors go to work and shop and conduct businesses conveniently. As part of this program is also the implementation of our stormwater pollution prevention plan to minimize stormwater-related pollution to the maximum extent practical. And this program helps the city comply with stringent, costly, and largely unfunded state and federal mandates to protect water quality in California's creeks and rivers. The Creeks Drainage and Capital Improvement Program has identified several flood reduction projects that are not otherwise identified in the master plan, and because they are not competitive for state and federal grant funding. In 21-22, we've accomplished the city continued to restore the native wetland vegetation in the open channel along First Street West frontage of Depot Park that was constructed in 2020. And the city restored native vegetation and secured a permanent maintenance easement for the open drainage channel, providing surface drainage in the Hayes Street area. In fiscal year 22-23, the city is seeking grant funding to complete a drainage improvement project identified in the city's storm drain master plan along Broadway, just north of Leveroni, that will include a trash separator just south of Leveroni. And the city is seeking grant funding opportunities to develop a wetland restoration project in St. Francis Wetland. Into our individual projects, CD1 is the stormwater trash reduction system.
What page are you on, Ariana?
I am on page
12.
12.
Thanks.
This CD1 is a project that's looking to carry over some funding from fiscal year 21-22. It's to implement our trash reduction requirements that are put down by the state under our stormwater program. And they would fund baskets in some identified inlets that are around high priority areas. We're holding on to the carryover funding and not programming any new funding in this fiscal year, but are looking out in future years for larger amounts of funding after we get our phase 2 permit from the state water board and have a better idea around exactly what the requirements for trash are going to be in our stormwater permit. The next project, Broadway
Can I ask
and
a question about this project? I'm just looking at the picture. Who empties those baskets?
Tommy and our streets
Okay,
maintenance.
so they have to, and how often do they have to, do you know? Probably because we haven't done it yet, you don't know.
We have 15 of them, so he does them before the storm season and then 2 or 3 times afterwards, right, until they stop filling up.
Yeah, what they do is they collect trash mostly through the dry season. We clean them out, and then through winter, they'll pick up a lot more leaves and vegetative debris.
Okay, great, thank you.
And this is one of those unfunded state mandates.
It is.
Thank you.
The second project in the stormwater group is the Broadway Leveroni Flood Reduction and Trash Capture Project. We used some grant funding this year to do a conceptual design for a large hydrodynamic trash separator that would be located just south of Leveroni. And we're seeking some grant funding right now from the EPA through the San Francisco Water Quality Improvement Fund to fund the construction of that trash capture device. In addition to that, we correct a drainage issue that was identified in the storm drain master plan in 2011, just a little bit north of Leveroni, and upsize one of the infrastructure pieces there in front of the trading company. So we're not looking for any funding this fiscal year, but just in 23-24, if we're successful in that grant application, we'll be looking for some general funds to meet the match requirement of that grant. Pause after creeks and drainage to see if you guys have any other questions. All right, going on to parks, capital improvement projects. The city's parks are vital to maintaining the quality of life in Sonoma. Parks contribute to the health of our citizens and the economic and environmental well-being of our community. Daily maintenance of our urban parks is provided by city staff and landscape contractors that perform mowing and trimming in the neighborhood parks. The CIP projects are funded through the general fund and through a couple of individual funds, Prop 68 money, Parks Measure M, and Quimby funding. The fiscal year 21-22 accomplishments, we worked collaboratively with Sonoma Overlook Trail Stewards Volunteer Group to improve 3 sections of the Overlook Trail. We completed the budget and schedule for the Montini Connection Trail, which is planned for construction this fiscal year upcoming. We completed the Prop 68 grant application to fund approved design of the new recycling waste receptacles for the plaza, and initiated the city and Sonoma Parks needs assessment to further guide maintenance and improvement projects for our parks. In the fiscal year 22-23 goals, we're initiating construction of the Depot Park Enhancement Project, the Plaza Enhancement Project, and the Plaza Park will use the Prop 68 per capita funds. Complete design and construction of the Montini Connector Trail, and complete design and move forward construction elements to improve Pinelli and Olson Park using Quimby Act funds. Our first project is the Montini Connector Trail project. Let's see. In fiscal year 2021, the project completed a feasibility study, including analysis of alignment alternatives to connect the Valley of the Moon Trail with the Holstein Trail along the Montini's property on the west of the preserve. We've received competitive quotes from the ACE contractors that helped us complete the Overlook Trail, and we're hoping to complete this project in the spring of 23. We're going to move forward if this budget is approved with our CEQA permitting and public outreach in the summer and fall of 22 and new construction when the soil's a little wetter. From that, we're going to use carryover funding that was approved in the 21-22 budget, and we're looking for an additional $20,000 from the general fund to complete that project. Right. Project P7, Pinelli Park. This project was approved previously in 21-22. We've identified it in our needs assessment as a priority area, and we have one of the smaller play structures that we'd like to potentially replace with this Quimby money that's assigned for this park. We have no additional requests in 22-23 for funding. P8, Olson Park Improvement Funds. The city staff evaluated Olson Park as well as part of our needs assessment and are prioritizing rehabilitation implementation of the Quimby Act funds. These funds will be combined with general fund dollars, Parks Measure M funds to rehabilitate parts of the park. I think the neighborhoods identified with drinking fountain, some of the flat work needs to be improved, and there's an area just to the north of the basketball courts where there's a picnic ground that could use to be revitalized. So this year, our goals are to begin the process with public input on the proposed improvements, followed by design and engineering and drawings to advance the project forward, hopefully in the following fiscal year. And we have the carryover Quimby Act fund from a development that was in the neighborhood of $80,166. We're requesting additional general fund dollars of $30,000 to do the design, and are hoping to use some of our Parks Measure M money for implementation of the project at Olson. And keep checking through. All right, Depot Park Enhancement Project. Let's see. The Depot Park Enhancement Project includes improvements to the bathroom, adding 2 water bottle filling stations, bike parking, transfer receptacles, and signage. Restroom improvements include interior and exterior painting, new doors, additional lighting, ADA accessibility, and landscape and drainage enhancements that will remove pollutants in the stormwater runoff. In March of 2021, the Community Service and Environmental Commission recommended the project for Measure M Parks for All funding. The Parks for All Measure M is the 1/8 cent sales tax to support the county and city parks for the next 10 years. The project will fold in a required bioretention feature to offset impervious surface created by the Chase Street Bridge. In 2021-22, the design will be completed for the enhancement project. It is going to be completed in 22-23. Construction is scheduled for the fall of 23, maybe the spring. We can move it ahead a little faster. And we have carryover funding of $200,000 from last fiscal year from Parks Measure M, and we're looking for an additional $50,000 to complete the project. All right, Plaza Park Enhancement Project, P10. The proposed enhancement at the plaza may include the trash recycling receptacles, bench upgrades, bicycle parking. The city is eligible for Prop 68 per capita funding in the amount of $185,015. The Prop 68 per capita funds require a 20% match of local funding. The grant application was submitted in December, and our project was accepted. Contract and design work is underway, and we're hoping to have the project completed by the end of 2023. This particular design for the receptacles has previously been accepted by the CSEC, and I believe that you guys saw it. The only change would be that we're hoping to include composting for the new 1383 laws.
Can I talk about this one?
Yeah, and I'm done, so you go.
Great, thank you very much, I appreciate everything. So we're eligible for Prop 68 funds, but have we received them?
It's a reimbursement, so we submitted the grant application that said that we're going to theoretically do this project, and they accepted it as an eligible project, then we do it and we apply for reimbursement.
And we definitely get it?
Yep, it's already, we've signed the contracts with the state.
Okay, thank you. On this one, I'm just curious how far along in the process the design work is and everything. I was hoping that we could create sort of a master plan, and that's something I wanted to help fund for the plaza and the connectivity to Depot Park. And that will include sort of a, aesthetically connected benches and receptacles and bicycle parking and lights and flower and everything. And I feel like we just sort of do things one at a time, and they're not sort of all connected in some sort of general master plan. And so I'm just curious about that.
I'm not sure about the master plan. This funding can fund replacement or implementation dollars. So we put forth that under their previous city manager, we put forth that we were going to do these receptacles with this funding. I think that we can potentially ask for an adjustment. It will not fund planning, so we can't do a master plan with this money. It would have to be implementation dollars, but if the council wants to fund a master plan under some other funding source, we could use that money.
Yeah, well, I mean, we should talk more about that, obviously. Like, for example, there's like a little image of benches here, and we haven't seen any of the designs, at least at the council level. And I know it went through the CSEC, but I believe as of
and I
tonight,
think
that no longer exists.
Right, and we haven't, we're hopefully forming the pros tonight.
Yeah.
then we haven't discussed like a parks master plan,
Yeah.
but that some of the funding could come from Measure M for a parks master plan.
Mhm.
So, my question on this, because we've already applied for the grant, if we, if we stepped back, how long do we have to request reimbursement?
We have to have the project completely done by the end of 2023.
Oh,
So we
2023,
really need
so
to be
that's
doing
the following
something
year, okay.
now.
And is this
with
primarily for the receptacles?
Yes.
So the receptacles look fine to me, and I'm just curious how quickly we can get going on that. Because we have talked about the receptacles in the park for 5 years.
Right.
And maybe I'm new at this, I don't understand why it takes so long, and I know I just don't know. It's very frustrating for me.
I'm new at this too.
I
but
know,
believe if you
so
approve
can
it,
we,
can order them
how
now.
quickly can we get those
Sounds
receptacles?
like they're on their way.
Yeah, right,
Well,
so
they've been on their way
this
for
is
years.
scheduled for this year, right?
This is scheduled for this year.
Right.
The last step in terms of this particular funding was that application needed to go into the state at the end of last year and have them approve that this was an eligible expense for this particular pot of money. So we've done that. They're okay with it. So
Mhm.
if everybody is acceptable with this design and we want to do composting, we can move forward with this.
Is the delay the fact that we are using these state funds, that it just sort of lengthens the process in terms of just making sure we're eligible?
That's for this particular fund source, yeah.
So, and this is sort of a discussion topic that we're not gonna really focus on today. But in the future, I think we need to start talking about this, and we've talked about it before, and a member of the public has brought this up. The TID is up for renewal in a year, like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
And so they take, the Tourist Improvement District takes 2% of the TOT every year. And because you can only, as a hotel, charge so much before the TOT sort of gets too high, they're sort of eating into what I believe should be the city funds. And what is 2% of TOT a year? Like over $1 million? Well, let's just say it's $1 million-ish. I mean, if we're putting
Yeah.
1% is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and we're putting 600,000 in,
yeah,
so
you
that's
can figure,
1.2
yes,
million.
yeah, right.
So I think we need to, and because things seem to take a while, we need to start talking about this and be ready in 2 to 3 years when this expires. I personally think we should change the Tourist Improvement District to a Plaza Improvement District. And we could be getting $1 million a year to fund the plaza, or we've talked about this before, and perhaps that would take some of the pressure off some of these like state reimbursements and get some of these things going, because I know that the vast majority of TID funding goes to advertise. The hotels come together and advertise Sonoma, and I think continuing to pour more money into our plaza is the best advertisement for Sonoma there is, because the locals obviously benefit it, number one, and obviously our visitors benefit from it as well. And so, it's frustrating, and I know this is not Public Works or anyone's fault. It is frustrating to me how long it takes to make improvements in our plaza. And I think if we had a source of funding from the TOT in a plaza improvement district, I think we would really be able to see a lot of great, additions and benefits to our plaza that would benefit everybody. And so, I'm using P10 as a launching point to sort of discuss. We need to start thinking about that.
I just,
Yeah.
just to reply to the suggestion, I have nothing necessarily against a suggestion, except I hate not taking money from the state when it's available to us. So I don't
That's
want to
true.
get rid of that option. And I'd like to ask a couple things. Were the bathrooms included in this plaza enhancements? I mean, I happened to be there yesterday, and
It's utilitarian.
it wasn't working properly, shall we say. I mean, if my sink was like that at home, I would be calling someone to fix it. So, I mean, I would try myself, but I'm not very good at it. So I think that should be in there somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of people in the plaza, especially on Tuesday nights, and I'm sure it's a deferred maintenance type of item, but it just needs constant. I mean, you can't keep it up to date fast enough. It's so used. As far as the benches are concerned, I know that's just a placeholder, and we'll probably look at benches, but Wrought iron benches, I happen to like. I think they're sturdier and they will last the test of time. But that's the kind of bench I'd also like to see in other places to expand the plaza. And I've talked about it a lot. I received a letter that also referenced benches, and I think that it's important, especially south of the plaza on Broadway, to have benches. We see how well used the chairs are in front of Williams Sonoma, and that's kind of them to put those there. But if you're going to ask people to walk and bike, you have to have places for them to sit along the route, and there really isn't any place. And there's some really obvious places where benches, and it would sort of expand the plaza. So in sort of tagging on to Vice Mayor Barnett's suggestion about the plaza improvement area, I hope that expands to,
That's a great idea.
you know, a little bit further, and it doesn't end sort of at the intersection of Broadway and Napa. So, because I think that will help. It'll also help the merchants south of the plaza who, you know, historically have, even though they're relatively close, seem to struggle in getting people down there. But if you have, you know, nice benches and a tree to sit down, you take your coffee over there, you sit down, you look in the window, you say, what's that? You walk in, you know. I think that helps, and I think our Chamber of Commerce and so forth would like that. Since I mistakenly brought up signage during an HVAC conversation, I'm happy to see the Depot Park enhancement have the signage piece in there, and that's wonderful. One thing I would like to say is that I sort of look at Sonoma like a grid, because we are sort of a grid, you know, with First Street East and First Street West and so forth, that there's really no improvement for the southwest quadrant of Sonoma in these plans. And there's a lot of people that live in southwest Sonoma, including myself, and we've been talking about that land that's zoned for a park on MacArthur and Fifth Street West. And I'd like to see some work being done to investigate creating a new park. I don't know when the last park was created in Sonoma, that's a question, but I know that the folks in southwest Sonoma, especially in the mobile home park community, many of whom don't drive, and would really benefit from having a park close to where, you know, they live. So it's hard for me to want to support this section when I see an entire quadrant of our city where there are a lot of people who live there, who don't avail themselves of an overlook trail, who have a difficulty you know, going to the Plaza or Depot Park, who certainly are not anywhere near Pinelli Park, but would love to have something small for them. So I strongly encourage that we add something into the to benefit our folks in Southwest Sonoma.
I agree. I agree with Sandra and the council. And right now, we are not only just for the maintenance, majorly look like the maintenance, and also financially we should do some improvements, and especially the plaza and the bathroom. That is many people in the complaint. For each individual also have this kind of same experience. So I'm wondering if in the next fiscal year and 2023, maybe do we need to do some of the research or what kind of the improvements for major bathroom, the upgrade or redesign, or so maybe we can thinking, because these kind of the budget just based on let it go, and a lot of the money just carry over forward from the previous year. So but right now this is a good year, and I also agree that we should spend the money instead of the saving in improve our quality.
I agree with that, but the other thing too is that this last year has been somewhat of a challenge year
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't had a public works director for part of
Right.
the year, and so we've had a little bit of turnover. So part of that carryover is because of that. So, but we are we actually are going to be looking at the bathrooms. We just are gonna.
On
Yeah,
this, oh, go
Well,
ahead.
what I was gonna say is, I think for the bathrooms, what I would recommend is a two-pronged approach, and that's to look at capital improvements. But the technology available to us can never get us totally out of the operational characteristics of keeping a public restroom in a presentable state, especially through very long days, especially very busy days, especially with some intoxicated patrons. And so there might be more of an operational analysis that needs to be done to see if we have the right staffing at the right times to provide that.
And honestly, it wasn't about the messiness, it was that the water doesn't work in the sink. Okay, so, I mean, I get it that it gets messy at the end of the day. I've been to big events before, I know what it's like. But literally the water wasn't flowing and the dryer wasn't working and
Which
things
dryer?
like that, or whatever
We just put a
it
new
was.
one in there.
I
There's a
just,
new
you know,
one. There's a new dryer. Go to the first one as you turn left.
I'm just reporting what I experienced.
I worked on that for like 2 or 3 years.
I know,
so it's
and honestly, I know how much it's used, and and because we know how much it's used, let's acknowledge it's used a lot, and that we're gonna have to, deal with that and make sure. But the people are more aware of it because of COVID. They wash their hands, and they're upset when there's no water and there's no soap. So I think it's something we have to consider.
So I'm sorry, who is responsible? I mean, I can't imagine Mr. Berger actually being totally responsible.
We have some part-time staff that are pretty much,
So currently we have one FTE that's staffed by 2 part-time staff, and their primary job duty is to maintain those restrooms through the weekends and every morning, as well as the public restrooms at Depot Park. So we have staff set up for it for 1 service a day, and we can certainly evaluate whether that's adequate.
And my concern has never been how it looks, my concern has been how it operates, what you've been talking about, because I think they really make a good effort.
Yeah.
From the beginning, I think it's just utilitarian, there's nothing nice about that bathroom. I don't know about the men's, but it's just, it's used for that purpose, there's not one pretty thing in there. And thank you, I think there are rooms for improvement. But I think it's a lot, well, no, I can't, it's not Yosemite. Go to Yosemite and you'll know how bad things are. That's okay. But thank you, Chris.
Yes, thank you.
Well, and these are great discussions to have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Council wants certain things brought up that are, inherent and have been noticed a few times and brought up by different people. We're definitely interested in hearing them. Yeah.
So because right now we are preparing a budget. So if possible, because this is not finalized, if you can give us some of the numbers and either what kind of improvements on the design, or even you said, wow, this is a big project. We needed to do research. What kind of, usually you can do an in-house work. If not, also we are ready to pay, those kind of the professional service, what kind of the quality bathroom for the plaza. Because the people, if they visit a new place, number one is the landscaping. And then another thing is look at your bathroom. Yeah, that is impressive a lot.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say I support Councilmember Lowe's idea about that park in Southwest Sonoma. I think that's very important, and I would like to consider putting that in this capital improvement budget. And something that does concern me is that we could put it in here, but then like many other projects, obviously it sort of takes a while
Lined up.
to be executed. And so I think that brings up a discussion which I don't know if this is the appropriate time or at some point about staffing. I mean, I know I brought it up at the last meeting, whether you guys need more employees. I don't know if that's, I mean, to me, obviously, some of this, like whether it's the cemetery or our parks or our bathrooms, I mean, it just comes down to manpower sometimes. And so if we do have a surplus, maybe we should start thinking about that. I mean, again, I'm not a municipal finance professional, but, and also, I would also encourage reaching out to the TID. I'm sure they're doing quite well this year with our TOT receipts, and I think perhaps they might be open to contributing some funding
Are you
to
talking one
maintaining.
time or continue?
Well,
Whatever.
either or, I mean, those bathrooms are in the same building as
Yeah.
the visitors bureau, and I think it would be a win-win for everybody to have nice bathrooms for not just our residents, but our visitors, so perhaps they would be willing to part with some of their funds.
Another question, maybe is not related, but on the budget, we never see anything related with the Casa Grande and the parking space, because this is state property, but how we work with them, what kind of expenses they take responsibility. Because work with the state also is our, the councils,
And so actually, we do have a meeting set up
Okay.
for Casa Grande next week. Anyway, we did a parking study, and we've identified some individuals who can help us, and we're going to proceed with discussions on what we've originally talked about. Even if we can't, part of the problem with Casa Grande is that you can't excavate. It becomes quite a process because of the historical aspects, and you have to have an archaeologist there. But just to resurface, we've talked about this. We've talked about resurfacing and restriping, and we definitely are talking about that. So there is not funding in this particular budget. We haven't talked about that yet, but because we're still in talks with them, but that would probably come forward as a budget adjustment.
And that would be great to,
Right now,
once
yes.
to understand the status, because this has been going on for, 5 years.
Right, so we did, it's, I know that it's been.
Nobody's fault.
Yeah, so actually,
Head of the
I'm,
State
I'm,
Department of
I'm
Parks
excited,
is
we've
pregnant. We had to
identified
wait
an,
for that.
we have an individual identified, and we have a meeting set up with them, I can't remember when it is, but, anyway, so we're moving forward on that.
And also, we can take the advantage of this election because Cecilia right now, and then her in the district, fall in the cover, Springs area, and also in the city. She is kind of this is a new district for her. She wanted to make some of the suggestions for us because yesterday, Sandra and I met her, and also she is very ready to support us. This is an assembly member, and also we have the Senator Bill Dahl, and also his office also is very positive.
Yeah.
So any issues that we can work with the state and move forward a little bit because year by year, but anyway,
So are you ready to move on to transportation?
I want to say one thing before we move on. It's about the park on.
Because I have something also.
Yeah, okay. So when we did our parks assessment, we totally identified that particular lot on Fifth Street West, there for a potential park. There's potential Quimby money coming through that would fund that park, and we were kind of waiting for the pros to get set up. So we were doing it in conjunction with the master plan and some folks with some guidance on how we wanted to see that developed, which is why we didn't put anything regarding that in this particular budget. We could certainly move some money to kind of start a conceptual design, but it does take a while. But we noticed it. We
Yeah,
thought
thank you.
it was-
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think it would be great to put something, when we go to approve this, I think it would be very important to put something in there so they feel like they've been heard and acknowledged. Because it is a large population center. Most of the people that live in that section of Sonoma are year-round residents. It's, you know, it's not a lot of tourist area, and they comment that, you know, a lot of money is spent in the plaza as it should be, and I support. But, you know, here are the folks who are living here every day, live there for many, many years, and they really want something, you know, that is for them, and it would mean a lot. So thank you. I really appreciate that comment.
It also kind of highlights when we did the assessment, there's sort of a park desert in that area, which is, I think, what you're saying. So we
Exactly.
definitely
And
thought-
one of the things that you might not know, because if you go on to the mobile home park, you see a lot of, you know, open space and green. It's very pretty over there. They're not allowed to have their dogs there. So, which you wouldn't know unless you were aware of the rules. So having a dog-friendly park nearby is a big deal to them, because for many of them that is their companion, and they can't have their dog on that particular property, even though there's lots of green space and it's beautiful. So I was not aware of it, but I've been spending a lot of time over there talking to the residents, and this has come up many times. So I really appreciate your consideration and including something in there. I think you'll make a lot of people very happy by that.
And in terms of the bathroom, we do have a capital improvement project that's kind of set up and has been in this package before for the bathrooms. It's in the building section, not in this park money section. And just with our staff turnover and everything, I wasn't really sure where to take it. So that's why I didn't put it in here. But I think we could probably work together and come up with at least what our plan is and put some money towards that.
So I'd like to go back to page 16, which my dog and I referred to as Squirrel Park, because there were so many squirrels there. He loved going there when he was alive. But I wanted you mentioned Quimby, and that was very new for this council. I don't know, you know, it was just, and the person that brought it up was actually Logan Harvey. So you or Mr. Berger could explain what Quimby Act and how that fell under that.
How this would, oh, Chris is gonna have to help me with the actual development if you know it, but it says in here, doesn't have the year, but there was a development, a small like subdivision that happened near that park, and Quimby's are like a park in lieu fee. So when you do a development, you have to pay a certain portion of money into this fund to develop a park, or if you don't do one as part of the subdivision. And so I don't know what development it was, but it's really near Pinelli Park
There was a lot split about 1 block away from the park.
that funded this $32,000 that's sitting in that park and lieu fee for this particular park. And it can't be used for maintenance, it has to be used to do something to improve the park. So we can replace things or include new things, but we can't, you know, do tree cutting.
Yeah, because I think, Sue, it's brought money to the city, is that right, the Quimby Act on something?
Yes, just like she's saying that we've had this money in the Quimby Fund for this particular park, and you said there's potential Quimby funding for the west side?
There's some developments coming down that if they come to fruition would be
Right,
large.
so-
Well, the Mockingbird project is right there.
We have money from Markenberg.
Right, so, so there is, the funds go into that Quimby Fund, so they're available for, and we could certainly identify a new project for that, so, and bring back the bathrooms.
So you said that you had something set up with Casa Grande, meeting with somebody. Are you running any of that through the ad hoc committee that we have formed to deal with that? Or are you gonna just handle it with staff?
The, I'm sorry, the Trappist?
No, we have the,
Oh, there's a Casa Grande ad hoc? Oh.
we have the
Madeline's
summer
my,
committee, yeah. Ad hoc committee, yeah, was formed the last
So we
year.
did, we certainly we can run that by you. I think this is sort of just a kind of, I mean, you know, meeting this person, and, I mean, if they were identified through the traffic study, that we have a new person that we can contact, and so but we could certainly run it by, or we can meet with them and then just see what their because I wasn't involved before, but I do know that there was a lot of pushback, and it seemed like an incredible amount of funding that we would have to provide to just use that parking lot. And, we're talking about, well, if we maintain it and improve it, why would we be paying so much? So anyway, so we're that's kind of the thing, but we could do an ad hoc committee prior to. But Mike, I can't remember when it's set up.
No, I'd have to check.
Yeah, it wasn't. Is it in? I don't think it's until July, right? Because of the timing. I mean, everybody was out, so.
I could take a look.
Okay. I don't know that I've had an invite yet, but anyway.
If we're talking about Casa Grande, I understand the need to probably resurface and restripe, but the more money we put into it and make it more attractive to the people that hang out there at night, like with racing and all that kind of stuff, I think a gate needs to also be part of that.
And the gate is the sort of the one problem about it because you have to excavate a little bit farther when you get in. So then there's the archaeological dig kind of whole problem.
Well,
And
there
I
were
think
some designs proposed for that gate that didn't require excavation.
so.
Well, I just wouldn't
That was
approve
being
it.
pursued by the previous city manager, but it's kind of
They didn't,
fallen by
did
the
they not
wayside.
accept the gate, I think, wasn't there? That's all right.
I don't know if it ever got to the state enough to. that
Well,
they
and I think that
commented.
part of it was, I mean, they were working with more local, and I'm not sure where this person is, but we can find out further. I don't, as again, I'm new to this particular thing. I was excited that we finally have a contact and that maybe we could move forward with
From the State Department, the Parks Department?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it's Parks Department.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, and our traffic study person has identified this person, so we just, we want to, I mean, it's certainly an asset for the city if we could use that parking lot. I mean, we use it already, but it's, it's poorly striped and.
And I think
You
there
know.
are the signage, a lot
Yeah.
of those things that go along with it.
Right, and we put the speed bumps there, but, I know there are some issues.
July 21,
July 21, great.
placeholder at this time.
Yeah, because we haven't really set the meeting
Yeah,
yet, but
so
July 21.
mid-July.
So if you want to
Aren't we
meet
dark in
prior
July?
to, I'm sorry,
Council is.
Aren't we dark in July?
you are, but you can have an ad hoc committee if you want. It's up to you.
I was
Alright.
just wondering if staff is also,
Dark?
yeah.
They're still working, right?
Well,
Part of the
there
month.
might be a lot of
Joking?
vacations.
Yeah, there is a lot of vacations, but we've identified that date as, that we would all be available, so, yeah. So we're still open in July, just council isn't meeting, so.
Right now, we are meeting already around in a 1.5 hour. Do we need a break or we continue or because it's so long?
Like public input or,
Oh, yeah.
because last time we did public at the end and we
Uh-huh.
ran out
Yes.
of time, do you want to?
That's up to council. Normally we wait till the end, but it's up to you.
And I like to, because audience, not a lot of people, before they forgot or
But
tell
what we've
it's gonna fine,
discussed,
yeah,
not
and then,
the whole
yeah,
general fund.
yeah, no
Before we
agenda.
get to transportation, just.
Yeah.
If anyone has.
Yeah,
anything
if,
to say.
I like that.
yes, if any, let me know open to public.
Yeah.
If any
How much more?
comments and, thank you.
I know, it's sort of uncomfortable, there's no podium for you to stand at, I'm sorry about that.
I saw my picture on a video from last meeting, one of the meetings, and I had to stand up there. I looked like Father Christmas. And so now I'm happy to sit down and read to you some of my wish list that goes to Santa
And are they what
Sonoma.
we've talked about so far?
Yes, I'm gonna be talking, well, I hope it's in the right place. I'm not sure. This is the first time I've seen this packet, just like you. And so that was one of my comments, by the way. So I have a wish list to Santa Sonoma of 19 items.
Right,
Okay.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed reading them.
I did.
Apparently had my ear to the ground well enough to include a number of items that have been discussed this morning already. I'm also very happy that the president of the Sonoma Valley Historical Society has come in, because I want to make one comment only of the 19, and of course it turned out to be item number 13. And that is, and I will read it to you. The City of Sonoma to assume responsibility for the external maintenance of all structures owned by the city, irrespective of what an original lease might have said. I mean the exteriors, including roofs, painting, windows. For example, the Marcy House, Patricia, I included that, and the Masonati House, and I'm not sure what the status is of the Vintage House, although I know you do give them lots of money. They do lots of good things. This will free up more time for these groups to focus on programs rather than fundraising for maintenance work on properties that belong to the city. As part of my duties at the Sonoma League as executive director, I'm supposed to engage in fundraising. I find it a little ingenious for me to go out and ask people to give money because our dues are so low that they do not cover anything but barely the monthly expenses, plus donations, plus the sale of the Hooker House structure. We're floating on that. We don't have money to go out and do major capital improvements. And so I'll go back up. It's disingenuous for me to go out and raise money from people to pay for repairs and capital improvements on properties that the city owns. I think you need to step up and take some responsibility for that. You do have enough money. I'm not a big fan of affordable housing. That's for developers, not for the city. You need to do something about your building department, about getting permits approved very easily. But back to the nonprofits. You can't expect us to go out and do your work. We need to focus on programs and keeping the organization going as opposed to the structures, which we enjoy having very much and we're taking good care of. But it's getting out of hand to do anything because our remodel was done, I think, Patricia, 2008, 2007, and things are beginning to need attention. Anyway, please read and enjoy my list. I think some of those don't need to be waited for 5 years. I think some of them could be taken care of quite easily this year. And I think you could push some money around to do so. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you said that we should go to Paris for a committee meeting
Yes.
in there. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yes, more? Hi, Tom.
Second.
Yeah.
Council members, staff, members of the public, appreciate the opportunity. Tom Conlon, 18850 Robinson Road. I appreciate this meeting. We're into the details of the capital plan, and I have a number of specific things. I hope you keep notes so that maybe we can answer these questions today. On the buildings, page 7 of the packet, the fire station, I noticed that there's a structural question there. I've not heard of this before. I was just wondering what the structural problem might be in this relatively new building. 2, on BF4, page 9, it strikes me that $220,000, even though grant funded, is a significant amount of money for a transfer switch and a generator. And in particular, the city might want to look at electric batteries as a source of backup power at that facility, particularly given that grant funding from Sonoma Clean Power might be available. I believe there's grant funding at the state level also. And that the batteries could additionally be used in the demand management capacity to reduce the city's overall power bill if done properly. 3, I very much appreciate the comments of the council members around the parks program, the need to coordinate planning, redesign of the plaza with this capital budget. I feel confident that that's going to happen under this new council. Specifically with respect to on P6, and I think it's a subsequent park programs that have community funds. I heard the Pinelli Park does have a very adjacent project that was the source for those improvement funds. I didn't hear the same about Montini and Olson, so good question, where are those funds coming from? Which subdivision produced those funds? And is that enough nexus to the improvements of those other two existing parks? Very much appreciate Councilmember Lowe's comments about the need for parks in our underparked portions of the city. In P9, the Depot Park widening of the bike path was suggested at the Community Service and Environment Commission back in that committee before that commission. And I don't see that in the current design, and I would hope that that's contemplated in the, if not this phase of capital improvement, in subsequent park redesign planning, and make sure that whatever you're spending your money on now doesn't include the widening of the bike path in that obviously congested area. P10, and my final bullet, is the plaza waste bins. I very much appreciate the redesign, addition of compost. I think the implementation of SB 1383 under the steady hand of our sustainability coordinator makes it obvious why we needed to blow the whistle and slow that project down. Although we need the bins and it's ugly in the meantime, I was just there yesterday. We will at least not have spent the money on a system that had to be redesigned. So I appreciate staff's work and all the effort that's gone into that. I did have a question around the total number of waste receptacles and the funding, if the funding has changed since it was originally proposed and reviewed by the CSCC. So I hope those are substantive and valued comments. I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Tom. Any more comments? Patricia?
Straight at me.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a silly question, and I thought there was another park behind Sasserini School.
There is Hertenstein Park.
No, that one's Hertenstein is
Isn't that the one?
No,
Maybe I'm getting the wrong
Hertenstein's
name.
over.
Araldi Park?
Not a
North Arthur.
Oh, maybe.
And I tried to pull it up on my phone, the parks, but I know there was.
There is
a park
a
there.
park
There
there
is a park there.
with some native plants.
Anyway, I'll ask that question later to my computer.
There are some little spots over there, but it's not,
Big
it's
enough?
not accessible to the population that I described.
Okay. Hertenstein is south of MacArthur Street.
Right, yes.
This one is right behind Sasserini to the east.
All right. So any more comments? Oh, sorry, Patricia, have you finished yet?
I have, thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Yes. Any more comments? If none, yeah, we can keep going on for the transportation capital.
The Transportation Capital Improvement Program. The city's transportation network provides the connection between different land uses, linking homes and shopping, jobs, and recreation. An efficient and integrated transportation system enables Sonoma residents to combine the benefits of small-town living with job and recreational opportunities. The network includes facilities for pedestrians, bicycles, transit riders, and motorists. Fiscal year 21-22 accomplishments. We will have completed the 2022 City Slurry Seal project that hopefully you will let us award tonight, which involves street resurfacing of slurry sealed 14 streets and 2 pathways. We received the E76 for Friar Creek Pedestrian and Bicycle Bridge project, advertised and awarded construction and construction management contracts, and began construction on the Friar Creek Pedestrian and Bicycle Bridge. We completed the Broadway Streetscape Enhancement and Traffic Circulation project, completed restriping of Broadway to include bicycle lanes and enhanced pedestrian crossings, completed all but the construction phase of the Chase Street Bridge replacement project, completed design of the new curb ramp for 2nd Street West and Napa Street, and initiated design and cost discussions with Safeway for improvements on the 5th Street West crossing of Studley Street. I'm gonna not read the 2 pages of goals because I think that we're gonna get into them in the projects.
Can I
right
ask a
project.
question?
You
Because I
can.
would challenge you that you have completed the enhanced pedestrian crossings on Broadway,
I figured that you would challenge me.
because it hasn't been completed. And I thought we had allocated money out of this last fiscal year's budget, and we haven't moved ahead on that project, and I see it's proposed again, but I think that a lot of the comments I heard from the public is, hey, it was good to do what we did so far, but where are those pedestrian crossings that are supposed to improve pedestrian safety? And I
That particular item of enhancement, I was more referring to the markings, the green markings and such, but I recognize that we haven't done those pieces. The budget
well, the
that I
street
have.
markings were there before,
The green one? I
some of
hear you.
them.
And
Don't mess with it.
the budget that I have for the Broadway project, not having been here at the time that it was passed, includes the bike lanes and the then barricades, but did push out the RFB blinkers into this fiscal year. So that's what we're requesting in this budget, is to complete that work.
I know there was some negotiation with the state, and the state, I think, refused to put them in there, or they would have put in something else with the overheads like they've done on West Napa.
Right. And I don't have all of the history of it, so I'm just piecing it together with what I know of the budget that I'm seeing. But let me go through the projects and we'll get to that one. It's the last one, and we can talk about kind of our plan to make that come to
Thank you.
fruition. So Chase Street Bridge is our first project, which has been here for a while. So the city has received approval from the Highway Bridge Program with grant funding in the amount of $2,300,000 for replacement of the existing bridge. This is a federal grant administered by Caltrans, and the fund covers approximately 88% of the cost of engineering, right-of-way phase, and construction. The city completed the engineering and right-of-way phases to date, and the project is shovel-ready, and the city is anticipating that we'll get federal money in the 22-23 fiscal year. We just had a meeting with Caltrans, and they're giving us like a 99% probability that we'll get funding. It's been programmed into next year's federal fiscal year. So we're hoping to get our E76 for construction in the fall and advertise for construction, or with the contract to do the work in the spring and start work next summer in 2023.
Can I ask a question about this? I know that this has been in the budget for years, and I know it's like structurally deficient, and it's been shovel ready, I assume, for a while. What is taking so long, especially when we have a bridge that conceivably could?
We lost the funding in 2020, so they promised us money then too. We'd gone through the construction management bid, the RFP phase, we were ready to go, and then they didn't allocate us the money. But that was during the pandemic, and I'm not sure entirely why that happened, but it's a small bridge and it just got bounced. So with all of the new Biden infrastructure money, Caltrans is saying that we're definitely gonna get the money this year. And so we're in the same place. We've just kind of been in a holding pattern with our shovel-ready project. And it's one of those ones that is easily fundable under this kind of infrastructure bills because it is shovel-ready.
But if we're allocating general fund dollars to it, with the idea that eventually it will be reimbursed, I mean, couldn't we just move forward with it anyway? And if we don't get reimbursed, we're just spending our own money to retrofit a bridge that is, could be dangerous.
Yeah, and if they pull our funding again, we talked to Caltrans just in this meeting about what that path looks like. And you actually can get reimbursed faster than waiting for your money to get programmed. So we'd like to move forward with it either way.
Okay, no, I support that moving forward.
But that's not the budget request that we've put here. So the budget request right now, the general fund dollars, and
This is Fire Creek?
no,
Chase.
this is
Chase.
Oh,
Chase
okay.
Bridge.
Chase.
So, because it sounded sort of funny. Oh,
So you're asking for 1.6 million more?
This is, yes. No, we're not asking for 1.6 million more, I'm sorry. This is the money that would be reimbursed. If we were to build it all up front, well, I guess it could go either way. We could just spend it and then ask for reimbursement either way.
So you means you can reimburse within a Caltrans and the money originally from the federal.
Yes.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, prior to the project being denied funding, there was an effort done to update the plans and specs on the job. They went through, they got updated the current year, we got all ready to go, and the funding got pulled. Yeah, and so the department has done some work on that, trying to get that job started. And this is what we're doing now, is we're pulling the trigger. We talked to Caltrans within the last week, and you know, he said 99.9.
Well, yeah,
That's
I mean,
100 to
that's-
me, but
Yeah.
you know what I asked him for personally was the assurance that because we went through this effort 2 years ago and got the project all up to speed and ready to go, and then our funding got pulled, that you know, I would appreciate that any other bridge that's equal to us,
Yeah.
we take priority.
Yeah.
And he acquiesced, and you don't get necessarily an agreement, but you get
A nod.
a consensus.
And so do they evaluate based on the rating of the bridge? Meaning, were we denied because it's not as deficient as, like, it could hold a few more years? I mean, again, this is not my area of expertise. but-
I don't know that,
Yeah.
I don't know why the project was denied funding.
Uh-huh.
It was probably just, I heard that there was problems with HBR at that time. They were just, they were too much in the red. And that's not the case now. There's the coffers are full.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why he said 99.9. And, you know, we're moving forward with that. We're
Great.
getting the consultant under contract to, once again, update the plans and specs, which isn't much of an update. It's the federal requirements at the front that change. All the different Fed requirements shift probably every 6 to 12 months. And so when your project's 2 years old, you gotta update those to check all the boxes.
And I assume the longer it takes, the more expensive it gets.
Price-wise, sure. Yeah, and right now it's not cheap to build things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thank
It's
you.
good. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Project T2, the Fire Creek Pedestrian Bridge. The Fire Creek Pedestrian Bridge is a high priority project in the city's bicycle and pedestrian master plan. The project was awarded a federal grant utilizing congestion mitigation and air quality funds in the amount of $501,000. The contract was awarded for construction and is underway in fiscal year 21-22. We're hoping for completion of the project in the fall, projected to be October. And we have money in the 21-22 budget for all that we need to complete the project. So we're asking for any additional funding in this budget that grant is the money that we're getting from Caltrans to pay for that. Do you have questions about that one?
I do have, it's, first of all, thank you so much. You visited Samir and Mary Ann, which I thought was wonderful, and I believe that you're their connection. And they also like the contractor who's working with them. I know the family, and this is big, you know, it's a big deal for the people, those two homes. I don't know if I'd like to be in that situation, but I am so pleased that this is happening because it's a real connection between west and east for walkers, for bicyclists, whoever does that. That project was in danger. I was on SCTA at the time, and I had to not beg, they were wonderful. This whole county, every city agreed to fund this because we had missed the deadline to fund it. And I wanted to let you know, every city voted yes for Sonoma. It may not have been for me, it could have been for Logan, because he always left such a nice impression. But that money was in danger, and I'm so pleased that the other cities voted for it, because that's why we're here right now. Thanks.
It's great.
It's underway. They did their potholing this morning, so you can see a big pile of dirt there. Those dry dogs. Okay, Project T3, our biennial slurry seal project. The purpose of the biennial slurry seal is to extend the service life of the streets and pavements to good condition above a PCI of 70. The project treatment includes slurry seal, crack seal, and is part of the road maintenance and rehabilitation account. Funding is received by the Senate Bill 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. We had an estimated $225,000 for this from that fund every year. We're just currently using the funding we got from 1920 and 2021 for the slurry seal that's going to kick off in June. So for this next year, we're proposing to just put it into that fund and keep it. We have T4. The city's sidewalk inspection and repair program to help ensure the city's sidewalks are open and accessible to all persons. The city council adopted the sidewalk trip hazard repair policy in 2013. The policy was intended to use a multi-phased approach to minimize potential trip hazards caused by cracked and damaged sidewalks. And the policy's implementation program included 11 inspections and repair phases. The city's completed the phases 1 through 11, and the city will continue with a maintenance phase as well as homeowner matching assistance. So under this, we're seeking $60,000 in general fund to match homeowners who need to repair the sidewalks in front of their houses, as well as evaluate either the PCC program that we've been doing to minimize trip hazards, or potentially other things that we want to talk about that more, Mike.
Yeah, we're reevaluating the program. We've gone through 11, my understanding is we divided the neighborhood, the city into 11 different sections, neighborhoods, and went through and evaluated conditions, did some repairs, and noticed some homeowners about the problems in front of their house and tried to encourage them to fix them. It is state law to maintain the sidewalk adjacent to your property in front of your house. And what we're doing is we're reevaluating our program now that we've gone through the whole city and take a look at, I mean, these are typically systemic problems due to tree roots. And that is a tricky situation when you're talking about the tree. So if the program's going to involve evaluation of trees, it's going to get a little bit more tricky versus just cutting. And if the displacement is small enough, we can just have a contractor cut it. So what we're looking at right now is a second round of that, which, like Oriana said, is hopefully going to involve getting the homeowners to be a little bit more proactive in getting the fixes done. Maybe coming up with a list of contractors that could do the work for them to make it easier for them to go out and get a quote. And then, like Oriana said, we're going to do a cost match. I believe the previous cost match was up to $1,000. My previous experience, we've done more. And so we could look into doing that. And the way that I look at it is if you end up with 60, if you start with 60,000 and you end up with 50 at the end of the year, your cost match wasn't high enough. We want to spend 100% of that money and get as many people to go in as possible. And the way you do that is by having costs that are reflective of the current construction cost. And if we have to reevaluate those, we will. And then also getting the word out and just encouraging people and making it as easy as possible for them to be part of the program. And the last thing that we want to do is get a concrete crew and take this responsibility on. If we can avoid doing that, that's the right way to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that involves, it's an entire program. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah.
It's interesting because this issue is very sensitive to a lot of people. I guess you all know that. But some of these people that the trees have ruined the sidewalks, they didn't want the trees. And the trees were forced on them. That's a history that's here. If you go to the house on York and I think 4th Street East, she had to replace probably 200 feet of the sidewalk. And I don't even know if she's still alive. And in front. And that was one of the things she said. We never wanted those trees when my husband was alive. So it's a pretty sensitive issue. And I know that this city is not liable for these things, that there's a protection. You know, we would probably be begging in the streets if we had to fix them all. But I just wanted you to know that there's a history there, and maybe that's why people are not so, proactive about doing this. And I know it needs to be done because obviously there's a liability that goes along with it. But that's some of the stories that have come out, when we've been on the streets walking and talking to people.
Also, I like your idea, the match program. If and house owner and very cooperative, and on the city, needed to support. Because I'm not sure legally it's allowed or not allowed. When I visit and then, find the street behind the high school, some certain place they already put a sign, the red flag or sign. So basically this kind of sidewalk is not accessible, it's not open. And when the kids and were riding the bicycle, they cannot go to that place. So now I just concerned about any accident happen, and the city will got a lawsuit or. Although I agree, these kind of issues, the sidewalk should be fixed by the homeowner. But the homeowner sometimes they have difficulties and financially, and some homeowner they just want to rely on the city. But we need to give them an education. You need to tell them what is the law, and the bottom line is we should tell them, some enforcement. You needed to. You have to, fix. Otherwise, maybe we can take some action, put in a lane on that in this way. Keep that in the sidewalk and move through. Otherwise, it's closed. The homeowner put in a small red flag around this place. This is just like Agri Mountain said, it's a very sensitive issue. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if financially, if we can support to do something, or if you mentioned a couple of $1,000, that is okay. But I think the 60,000, I don't know, because and the major on the part is I believe from the sales tax. And if on the sale or gas tax, I'm not sure how to, and proportionally we can get in this, and in the gas tax, because right now the gas, price increased a lot. I wonder, this kind of the money could be increased proportionally as the gas price increased.
Yeah, and my understanding is that this program hasn't really been not supported, we've supported it, but hasn't been pushed outright, hasn't been understood, and hasn't been utilized. And my goal is to spend the 60,000. Yeah, and if we don't do that, then we have one problem. If we do that, then we have another problem. We need to find more money. And so, but right now I'm focused on spending that 60,000 and then go to step 2 after that. Yeah, because if we can't get people to participate in the program, that's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think giving the list of contractors would be really helpful, because people just don't know where to start,
For sure, and we could have a section on the website that walks them through a sidewalk cost share program. Yeah, and makes it step by step.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just going to copy that from NAPA.
Yeah, perfect.
That's good.
I always like when we steal things from Napa.
I don't like to reinvent any wheels, and I help make it anyway, so, yeah.
Yeah, one thing is that with the trees, many years ago, I saved a lot of trees in my neighborhood when the city wanted to take them all out because of the sidewalks. So just as many probably more people, I would say, are in favor of keeping trees rather than complaining about them. And in fact, I think it's really important to have trees and to create shade and lower energy costs, not to mention just the overall, just decide which are the prettiest parts of the city, and I guarantee you'll find a lot of trees in that place. So, I just really hope that we also continue to support trees in our community and figure out ways to live with the ones that are more invasive, like the ones I have in front of my house. Happy to repair whatever sidewalk is necessary to keep my trees. And I think my neighbors most of them feel the same way. I'm curious about, is it a law that we must have sidewalks?
I don't believe so.
I know there's some accessibility issues perhaps that go along with sidewalks.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
it is typical, but if it was a law, then I don't think we could have the little orphan sections.
Yeah.
Yeah, or areas that are unimproved, which,
Right.
you know,
So I guess
exist.
I'm
That is
asking the
the-
question, if somebody wanted to remove the sidewalk in front of their home, would they be allowed to do so?
It's come up before, and there are strings attached with that in terms of removing it. It is a ADA path of travel,
Right,
and adding those is never a problem. Taking them away can be. And it came up. It's come up a couple of times in my career, and I haven't done it. But it has come up, and there's always been strings attached with trying to remove the sidewalk. And you know, creative thinking. There's a lot of different things that you can do to get a tree root issue to be a non-issue. And
Not
the first thing,
plant the wrong tree in the beginning.
once the tree's planted, you know, you're stuck with it. But there are different things that you could do to look at tree experts, and whether or not removing the root that's affecting the issue is doable. Because if it is, you can go in, you can either shave the root or remove the root, have an arborist bless it, and then report the sidewalk.
right.
Yes.
And you can also curve the sidewalks
Yeah.
as well.
Bulb outs, both out into the street and loose parking. And if we have enough right of way, you could do a bulb out on a private tree out into the planter strip, or if there's enough right of way behind back a walk, but typically there isn't.
Could you also give easement to the city and extend the sidewalk perhaps like into your property more, that would be flatter and allow for a greater green space nearer the street? Is that something you've ever seen?
Not typically.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just looking at every single kind of option.
Most
because
definitely.
the trees to me are very important.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to start doing those evaluations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as part of this next phase of the program. Yeah,
Well, I like the direction you're going. Thank you so much.
great, thank you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off Council Member Lowe, and I know you brought this up before, and I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up, but I think it would be nice to start talking about maybe and this relates to sidewalks and trees. I think trees are very important for like the climate and shaded, encourage pedestrian travel and everything. And we've talked before about just in the sort of initial phases about sort of like a West Napa Street beautification project. Broadway is full of trees, etc. But once you start about, the Marketplace West, there aren't many
Or
trees
even
on.
before that, even at First Street
Yeah.
West, it's just not.
Yeah, there's just not many trees on West Napa Street, or I know it's a state highway, but in terms of long-term capital improvements, I do want to start talking about that. So perhaps maybe not in this budget, but
Well, especially when we put these beautiful benches there
Yes,
and you put a
exactly.
tree next to
Yeah,
them, then
right.
people not only will be able to walk, they'll be able to
Right.
sit in the shade.
right,
So
exactly.
that's nice. And I know that at least, in San Francisco, I'm not comparing the two cities, but they put these sort of little park, little green spaces, and they're really nice. They're native plants and so forth. Don't really take care of water, and it beautifies streets that are otherwise just cement.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Time is best.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, just suggest something. We're running out of time again, which,
Of course.
we haven't gotten to the other funds, and then there was, so, I'm gonna throw this out there. You think this is an awful idea? Could we do one more budget study session, to just finish this up and then talk about the changes some of the things, the questions you had about the general fund? And what I'm thinking is, Monday the 23rd, we're all free, or the 24th, which morning, it would have to be in the morning, because we're having our barbecue that day. So if you check your calendars, if we could, any time on the 23rd works for us.
I can't do the 23rd, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
I can't do the 24th.
We can't do the 23rd. Okay, yeah, because then we're running up to time, so.
No, I can't. Everything starts at 8:30 and ends at 4 for me.
Oh, I know, the 23rd is that all day thing, yeah, I know, okay. Hold on. Huh?
We could do an evening.
We don't have
Or
a closed
the-
session. Oh, but we need more time, I guess, to prepare. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, we're still hoping for the first, to get this done. We could do it on the 15th, but we could do an evening as well.
What day you're suggesting?
Well, I'm gonna throw it out there. Next week, I really, any evening works for
How
me.
about the Wednesday, the 25th? Let's see.
Yes,
I have nothing.
I could do that.
I could do that.
I can do that.
And we could start, I mean, later in the day if you wanted, before or.
Yeah, I have something from 1 to 5.
Okay, so we could,
I've got a
or 25th
citizens, Sonoma Valley Citizens Advisory Commission meeting that night.
that night.
Oh,
We're talking about the racetrack too.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on the 26th.
Yeah, that's cutting it too close, so we might as well just push it to the first then.
I know we've had this has taken a lot of time, but honestly, this has been a great discussion, and I
Oh, no,
hope,
it's
I
a great
hope
yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
finds it worthwhile.
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
there's no other time for us to throw these ideas
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And so thank you for trying to schedule more time, because I think it's really important.
And it's for the benefit of our new people, to know what has happened here.
Sure.
And the budget really is the most important thing we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, we'll just plan on the first being another somewhat study session on the budget.
When? I'm sorry, you said something?
Well, it'll,
You have to decide.
yeah, well, June
Before
first,
the-
I mean, really, by pushing it to the end of the week, we wouldn't have time to make any changes till the first, to be ready for the agenda. We'd have to have the agenda ready on Friday, so we wouldn't make it for the first.
So we wanted to approve it on the 1st, but we have until the
You have
end
until
of
the
the
end of
fiscal
the
year.
month,
Yeah.
but, really, the 15th is kind of the
The
dead
last
drop.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah, so,
Have faith.
yeah. That's fine.
that's good. So we are sure to continue, at least the finish.
I'll carry
We're
on.
Couple
gonna
of them
take a
more.
break.
Have a break first, and then because right now is 4 o'clock, we can have 1 hour and a half hour or.
No, I just thought we were having just a 5-minute break or something.
Yeah, I think we could at least get through the CIP budget.
Yes, yes,
today,
CIP
and then,
Well,
And
Then
then
we-
next time we find an adjustment, for.
I brought up the closed session because I thought is that canceled?
yes, it is, yes, yeah.
So we could conceivably go till 5:30 today.
Right.
We could, it's
Yeah.
up to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
should go till 5:30, just take
Five-
I'm just saying a 5-minute break, just.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
bathroom
that
break.
sounds fine to me. That works for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that is a good decision, yeah,
Okay.
wonderful,
Yes?
yeah, 5 minutes.
Two are just your maintenance funds, so I'll pull through these, and then I know we're gonna talk about T10. So T5 is our ongoing pavement rehabilitation replacement project. The city's pavement rehabilitation portion of the projects will involve milling and resurfacing of the existing pavement to mitigate against the effects of rutting, cracking, and other distresses, and will include at a minimum accessibility upgrades to pedestrian ramps, crosswalks, signage, and pavement markings. The project, when needed, will include water service replacements. The ongoing projects are expected to utilize a combination of funding sources for transportation, including Transportation Measure M, sales tax, gas taxes, and city general funds. It's requesting $400,000 to do our pavement rehabilitation projects, and then T6, the citywide roadway safety improvement projects, is implementation of our SSAR to include infrastructure improvements over the next couple of years. City staff is planning to continue the medium-term projects, including implementing Class 2 bike lanes, reconstructing intersections, and implementing enhanced crosswalks identified in the SSAR. From that document, the SSAR, the main project that we're going to look to move forward is the intersection of West Studley and West Fifth Street. And we're using some carryover funding from the previous fiscal year to do that. And then T10, the Broadway Pedestrian Safety Project. So for this in 22-23, the project is proposing to continue the striping that was done in this fiscal year, including continue to visible enhanced pedestrian crossings to include pedestrian safety and markings, and rapid flashing beacons at Patton, France and Andrix, Malay, and Clay Street. And we are looking for additional money out of the general fund to do that. The new director has put together some pricing. We think we can do it with staff in-house. I think what was the quote this morning? It was like $15,000 in parts, not including our internal labor. Our plan forward to make the rapid flashing beacons on Broadway that I know is an expectation is to do one of those off of Broadway to kind of test our crews and our implementation of the equipment that we picked out, make sure we get all the ADA pieces correctly done, and then work through the Broadway pieces one by one. We need to get encroachment permits for those, so we're hoping to do that in this fiscal year.
In our CIP budget last year, we allocated 232K for that, and it's not in the carryover. Is it 120 in addition to the 232?
Yeah, the 232 we used in the striping project, when we had to redo the striping engineering pieces and for the beacon or the K71.
So we allocated 232 for beacons.
Mm-hmm. That was the whole project, right? So that was the striping and the bike lane, and I don't have
We were
beacons
told
in
we
it,
were told that the state was paying for all that, and we only had to pay for like 40,000 more. That's literally what we were told. So I would love to follow up on
I
that.
do recall that too.
Yeah. And I allocated, well, the council, but me personally voted for 232K for beacons.
Got it.
And I do remember that when you
Yeah,
said
I
that,
do
I
too,
just,
'cause it's
yeah,
right there.
I was,
Yeah. And also then maybe we can pay first and then later on we can get it reimbursed or,
Finder's fee.
I
or,
don't think that Caltrans is gonna pay for them from the discussions that we've had.
No, Caltrans was never paying.
Okay, yeah.
Meaning we were paying for
Right,
it,
yeah.
232.
Yeah,
But they were paying for everything else. And so where did the 232 go?
I'm sorry,
Where did the 232 go? Well, I would just love to.
well, that was for the striping and the, right? And
No,
I do.
the state was
I-
paying for the
Yeah.
striping, and we were doing like 40,000 additional.
Yes.
yeah. And we need to find out
Sue,
if
come
we
join
can
us
do.
over
Yeah, that is.
We all agree.
But, so we can, Mike, we'll look into that, right? Because
Sure.
that
Oh, yeah.
was, it was Caltrans was, that's what, and that was just gonna be additional.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, maybe we can ask for reimbursement,
yeah. let's
because
do
it's
that.
their street.
Totally.
Correct, yeah.
But the real bottom line is, can we fast track this and get it early in the fiscal year? Rather than
Because we still have the one
coming
month.
back to
Wait.
next May saying, well, we're
Yeah.
almost there and we're waiting for the encroachment permit.
This is gonna be a new operation for our crew, and I'm confident that our crews can, well, I have a confidence level that our crews can do it, because my crews did it over in Napa, and I wanna get one underneath my belt though, and like Oriana, informed council, we have, we got a cut sheet today. I talked to the vendor, and we're gonna get a PO cut, and we're going to order the parts and pieces, and go to an easy location and practice. And then the whole time that that's happening, we're going to be working with Caltrans to get hopefully a fast track encroachment permit to working in there, because our crews have been out there working, and get all the ducks in a row for, what I would envision is I could see our crews doing one of these every month or two. And there's 7 of them that have to be done, 4 on Broadway and 4 off Broadway. And so you're talking about finishing all of them within a year. And the ones on Broadway are going to be the priority. That's the ones that people want to see. And so we will focus on those. I just don't want to go out there and practice our first one on Broadway.
When you say there are others off Broadway, what are you talking about? I thought we only have 4 on Broadway.
There are 4 on Broadway and 3 off Broadway. 5th and the bike trail, 5th West and the bike trail. Is there one at Studley?
Potentially, if we.
And one at
Oh,
Preston?
so that's great. I didn't know that was part of it. I thought this was just for Broadway.
No, this is for all 7 of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay, well that should.
Way I have
Okay.
it crossed out there is only for the Broadway ones, but we have the other ones in our.
But keep in mind, we actually removed enhancements off of a couple crosswalks on Broadway which have, you know, so now you just have the painted crosswalk.
Right.
So we've not only not enhanced pedestrian safety, we've gone in reverse.
Yep.
So it's important for us to try to get it in as fast as we can.
Right. And on Studley, the problem is, I don't know what you can do to make that crosswalk safe, quite honestly. And the reason I'm saying this is that the left turn backs up, and it blocks the view. So the cars that are proceeding to cross Napa cannot see if there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk. And luckily, not recently, but 2 people have been killed in that crosswalk historically. And the reason is you can't see if anybody is there. And so, you know, what I tell everybody is go up to the corner and cross there where it's safe. Like, you know, as I said, I live in that neighborhood, and that's kind of, you know, I cross over there, I go to Safeway, you know, Sonoma Market, et cetera. And I would never cross at Studley. And yet, there are a lot of retirement communities on Studley and out that way, and that is their closest way to go, to travel, to get into Safeway's parking lot. In wheelchairs, many of in wheelchairs. And, you know, I'm glad you're paying attention to that intersection, but because of the backup of the cars, the sight lines are just not there. You do not know if someone is in the crosswalk. And people just say, oh, there's cars, oh, I see a green light up there, and they go forward. And I see it all the time. So I'd love to see what you're gonna do, but honestly, if that crosswalk was removed and it was, people were told, don't cross here, go up to the signal, it would be safer. So.
Would it make sense, and again, we're not the traffic engineers here,
No,
but would
I'm
it
not.
make sense to remove it and put it down at like Oregon?
I
You know,
don't
like-
know, it's just so bad. I wish that Chief Rodriguez was here to sort of get his sense of it as well. You cannot see if someone's in the crosswalk. And if they're in a wheelchair, you absolutely can't see because they're, you know, below the sight lines. And I just think it's a very unsafe place to cross.
Well, and that's one of the beauties of these enhancements is that it's up 6 feet and it's a real bright flashing
Right.
light.
Yeah, the one on is it 7th Street West in Napa that has the light, the new ones up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The
the
hawk,
new-
the-
state
Yeah.
ones, which
Yeah.
Is it
come
gonna
over
be
the
like
road.
that?
Yeah.
No,
Like at
that-
St. Francis?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
On
that's
West-
the same one as St. Francis.
Yeah, there is one. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it will not be like that. Yeah, that's a traffic mass harm. But
Yeah.
no, there's a picture
It's
of it
just
right
gonna be
here
on the sides.
on page 29.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's got the flashing amber lights. And they're very visible. They're very visible.
It's much
And-
better than when they were in the pavement.
Yeah, the pavement ones, my understanding is those didn't work too well.
Well,
Intermittently.
and sometimes sunlight, you just didn't see them.
Yeah, and so, but with these flashing beacons, they are very noticeable. Yeah, and they're all over in Napa. We're
Okay.
putting them in like crazy. Council loves them. The public loves them. Yeah, and they just want more.
Okay. Well,
School
I'm-
zones, high crossing zones. You know, Mariana, have we done studies on Studley? Have we had traffic engineers look at that, or is that on the agenda?
You know, that's what's in our SSAR. is-
Okay, yeah, so there may be a couple other enhancements that we can do there, but, you know, as soon as we put one of these out, we'll let everybody know where it is. And you can all go out and take a look at it, and they are around, yeah, and they're very visible.
The safest time to cross 5th Street West is during the school day with the crossing guards from Sasserini Elementary School. And we really owe a debt of gratitude to them because they provide the safest crossing of that street. And I can't tell you how many people run the stop sign. There was one today on Fifth Street West and Andrex Street. They run it all the time. I see the police sitting there from time to time trying to catch people. Of course, when they sit there, they're not there, but when I see them, they're there. And my neighbor across the street from me has been hit twice on that intersection. And it's, you know, Fifth Street West is very dangerous. You know, I think we need those enhancements at Andrex and Fifth Street West as well, even though there's a four-way stop. People, they don't see it, they're looking ahead to the stoplight down the road.
Yeah.
And I cross it all the time, and it's scary how many cars go past through those things.
Something we're gonna be looking into over this next fiscal year are traffic calming measures.
Yay.
This is becoming a big thing,
Yes.
and we'll be going to some seminars, hearing what the experts have to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
But thank you for paying attention to Fifth Street West, because it's very treacherous.
I'm done with transportation, I'm gonna pass it off to our operator.
All right, so just a quick overview of the water utility capital improvement program for the next fiscal year. I'll just preface this by saying that the Sonoma community relies on the city to deliver high quality and dependable water. The water utility capital improvement program undertakes major projects that renew, replace, or augment the water system infrastructure. This infrastructure includes 3 city-owned tanks with a combined storage capacity of 5.5 million gallons, 7 production wells and appurtenant treatment facilities, 2 pump stations, 56 miles of water main ranging from 8 inches to 14 inches in diameter, 513 fire hydrants, and approximately 4,500 service connections. Typical capital improvement projects include replacing aging water mains and appurtenances, neighborhood scale water service replacement projects, renewing tank coatings and corrosion control systems, replacing well or pump station equipment, replacing supervisory control and data acquisition systems and equipment, and site or building improvements for well and pump station buildings. Some of the accomplishments in the capital improvement program for the current fiscal year included improving the resiliency of the city's water distribution system, and increased fire protection through completion of capital improvement projects W6 and W7. Those are fire flow improvements. We also replaced all cast iron water valve boxes, frames, and covers along the State Route 12 alignment in coordination with Caltrans through the completion of capital improvement project W12. And we completed engineering and design of capital improvement project W13, the well number 1 vault cover and air exchange project. So looking forward, our requested capital improvement budget for the next fiscal year features rollover but no additional planned expenditures for the water system condition data project number W2. This is a system-wide asset management and condition assessment that has been queued up for some time, but laying some of the foundational work that's required to really mobilize experts on it. For example, putting together all of our as-built drawings for all of the water system infrastructure is just something that's moving forward. We want to keep the funding available, but we are anticipating any expenses related to this project in the next fiscal year. W8. This is an urban water management, an urban water management plan and minor water master plan update. So the urban water management plan is a plan that we're required to produce every 5 years, and it's our way of looking at both the forecast supply availability and the forecast demand, and making sure that they are well in alignment so that we don't have a supply shortage. And then the water master plan is our long-term plan for assessing the actual capital infrastructure for its reliability and recommending cost-effective improvements to it. And we don't have any requested funding adds for the next fiscal year. So this table just earmarks where we anticipate making significant funding requests based on that 5-year report update cycle. Project W10, water meter system upgrades. City currently uses an advanced meter reading system that uses a truck-mounted radio read to drive around and collect information about the consumption data on every meter on a monthly basis. The state of the art for this is called advanced metering infrastructure, and provides real-time data about water consumption and can flag for water customers water leaks or excess consumption when it's happening, and provide a little bit more water conservation. This one is a pretty big lift. It's a huge undertaking to swap out the water meters on all 4,500 service connections and stand up the radio reading infrastructure to support that information gathering and reporting. So we don't foresee that we can mobilize that capital infrastructure project in this next fiscal year, but we are flagging it in this document as an anticipated request in fiscal year 23-24.
Chris, you have a device on some of the water meters that actually is an electronic thing. You said still require a meter reader to go by and swipe it with a device. I don't think they have to open the box anymore.
They don't have to open the box anymore. There's a radio transmitter that's connected to the register and it has a little circular disc in the top of the box, and you only have to drive by it.
Okay, so, but this is a further enhancement from that system.
No more driving by, and this would support customers would be able to log into a portal and see their consumption at any point during the cycle, rather than waiting till the end of the month to get their bill. So if they could, one of the utilities of this is that you could set notifications or tailored to the customer for their preferences, so that if they had a leak or high consumption, they could receive a notice when it's happening. So yeah, that's AMI.
And our water rates have built in these projected.
Not this one. This
Okay.
was outside of the projections, but we do have built into their water fund a consultant for a new water rate study, because
Okay.
this is the last year for our water rate, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So CIP number W13, this one is high priority for me. This is our well one. It's the oldest and highest producing drinking water production well owned and operated by the city of Sonoma. City maintenance workers need to enter, so the well head is below 2nd Street East. It's not in a building, and to access it, you have to lift a non-standard extra large cast iron manhole cover to do any work on the well. And during times of drought, where we're reducing our draw off the aqueduct, that can be every 3 or 4 days. So CIP W13 will remove that cover and replace it with a much more modern 5-foot by 5-foot double access vault lid that's rated for traffic, and we'll also include some other improvements to the vault to improve its atmospheric conditions and replace the disinfection equipment in the well. CIP W14, Norbon tank coating renewal. So the Norbon Road water tank guarantees that potable water is available to meet both average and peak water demands for the city's customers, as well as providing adequate reserve for firefighting activities. The 3 million gallon storage tank was completed in 2002, and the exterior coating is approaching the end of its useful life. So to protect and extend the useful life of the tank itself, we're requesting $265,000 next fiscal year to replace that exterior coating. W15, well number 3 water disinfection equipment replacement. Well 3 is another one of the city's key pieces of water production infrastructure and guarantees our local resiliency in the event of a natural disaster or significant drought that affected our aqueduct deliveries. The disinfection equipment at the well has reached the end of its useful life, and we're requesting $45,000 next fiscal year to replace it. And the last one is W16, Old Valley Road and Thornsbury Water Valve Box frame and cover replacement. Much like the recently completed project to replace all of our valve, we call them valve cans, in the State Route 12 alignment. We'll coordinate this with the County of Sonoma, which will be repaving portions of Old Valley Road and Thornsbury Road that intersect with our underground water utility out there, and we'll replace our cans through a joint contract where we'll leverage their contractor to do the work for us. So that wraps up the next fiscal year's the water utility capital improvement budget request.
On page 68, we'll go right to the water fund budget.
Okay. Okay, so on the operational side, the water utility operates the infrastructure that I've just discussed. Regular operational activities include ensuring that the city delivers drinking water that meets or exceeds all EPA drinking water standards through diligent adherence to a state-approved schedule of water sampling and laboratory analysis, monitoring and adjusting water tank levels, pumping schedules, and pressure reducing station parameters to maintain system pressure across 3 pressure zones at higher and lower elevations, ensuring that the city's drinking water cannot become contaminated through administration of a robust backflow prevention and cross-connection control program, protecting property and conserving water by promptly repairing system leaks, for example, water main breaks and damage, for example, vehicle collisions with fire hydrants, operating groundwater wells and protecting public health through implementation of industry standard disinfection and treatment methods, precisely measuring and maintaining accurate records of water production and delivery using 4,500 water meters read each month, providing customer service related to water bills and water quality inquiries, promoting water conservation through public information and outreach campaigns, administration of a rebate and incentive programs, and advanced water supply and resiliency planning, responding to 811 underground service alert requests from the excavation community to prevent dig-ins and damage to the city's infrastructure during excavation. Outside of these day-to-day operations, some of our special accomplishments or notable challenges that were overcome during the fiscal year we're currently in, including contracting for a highly qualified interim water supervisor to supervise operation of our water system. We completed America's Water Infrastructure Act emergency response planning. We responded to grand jury reports, 2 of them, one called The Situation is Worsened and the other called Water for a Changing Future. We commissioned and trained staff in response to these to operate an emergency system intertie between the city of Sonoma and Valley of the Wind Water District. We completed motor and pump overhauls on pumps 1 and 2 at the Norval Pump Station We completed vault improvements and transitioned to photovoltaic loads at our pressure zone 1-2 intertie facility. We improved security at key facilities through improved fencing and remote surveillance. We improved resiliency to staff shortages by completing emergency service contracts with neighboring water utilities and private contractors. And we updated key supervisory control and data acquisition hardware and software components to support multi-operator remote notification, operation, and collaborative troubleshooting of system parameters. Some of our operational goals for the next fiscal year include recruiting and onboarding a highly water qualified team of water system operators and continuing to develop a capable and dedicated workforce to safeguard the city's drinking water. Continuing to respond to severe drought, including implementation of water shortage contingency plan, enforcement of mandatory water use restrictions, increased water production from city wells, and continued water conservation community partnership activities, expanded use of the city's computerized maintenance management system, continue staff support to the Sonoma Valley Groundwater Sustainability Agency and Sonoma County Water Agency Contractors Technical Advisory Committee, and improve system asset inventories and predictive maintenance schedules to improve equipment reliability and reduce repair costs. And that is the only, I'll just flag, there is a special operational increase for the cost of retail, wholesale water purchases off of the aqueduct. Would we like to continue with any of the other
Cemetery?
funds? Move on to cemetery.
One thing I did want to mention is that we did not include the reserves for the water utility. We do have sufficient reserves. We are reserving for operational, just as we have in the general fund, and then we also have a rate stabilization reserve. But we had to get the volumetric revenue, and we couldn't get it quickly. So but that will be in the final for the reserves. So.
I know this is discussed from time to time, but has there been any sort of recent discussions about, I don't know what the right term is, but merging the Valley of the Moon Water District and our City of Sonoma water utility?
There have not been discussions. I mean, it's been, there are thoughts of that. Would it be, and that's kind of part of the,
I'm sure there are a lot of pros and cons associated with that, especially as it relates to the city budget, but, we have, obviously we have to contract with Valley of the Moon from time to time. This is becoming a very technical, with state requirements, with
Right.
water,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there are a lot of inefficiencies having our own water department, and the entire valley has its own water department, and I just would like to maybe explore that.
yeah, in the MSR to the municipal
Yeah.
services review that.
They recommend that, right?
Yeah, so they did recommend, at least studying that. There's,
Mhm.
There's a lot involved with actually, going to another utility and, but it's, economy of scale and efficiencies and things, so, that's down the road. So, I think the conversation is out there, so, and we will be.
All right.
What is the current use of water recommendation to people in Sonoma?
I don't know
Stage
if we
two.
have
We're still at stage
So-
two.
So you mean a gallons per
Well,
household per
well,
day
stage
recommendation?
two or
Yeah,
not
stage two.
It
water.
was a reduction more, wasn't it? Isn't
Gotcha,
it?
yeah. So, we're at stage 2 in our water shortage contingency plan. That doesn't have an actual recommendation for achieving a specific, reduction on a per household basis, but we have successfully reduced our, water consumption off of the aqueduct by 20%. And some of the ways that our customers have reduced water, is through, one of them's come up recently, not refilling new swimming pools, and reducing turf irrigation. We've done drought drive-ups to provide low-flow shower heads and information for folks. We've got a turf rebate program, so if you have an irrigated turf lawn, you can, it's think you can receive up to $1,000 on a per square foot of lawn removed basis. I'm forgetting. I think I got it. Okay. Those
But we're
are-
meeting
Yeah, I
20%
understand
right
that,
now?
yeah.
We're meeting our 20% reduction requirement off of the aqueduct.
So the cash for grass is what I think you hinted at, and what is that per is it square foot or yard?
It's $1 per square foot, but it has a maximum of $1,000.
Maximum.
Maximum.
And how do people go about availing themselves of that?
So we have a turf rebate program application form. It's not laborious to complete, and we have a very dedicated staff member that focuses specifically on administering water conservation programs, and he'll actually confirm that it was irrigated turf that was removed and verify that the replacement is consistent with water conservation and not another landscape feature that doesn't actually reduce water consumption, and then you'll get a check.
Do you have to remove the irrigation or just the grass?
You have to cap and abandon sprinkler heads, but you don't have to remove any irrigation components that are below grade, not serving the area removed.
So where is the money for this? Is it funded by or it's us, or?
So this is funded through the Water Enterprise Fund. So it's funded through water revenues, and there is a water conservation budget within the water fund on an annual basis.
Has there ever been any consideration of raising that from $1, or it's?
Yeah, so I actually just requested that we do a comparison of the turf rebate program rates from our neighboring water retailers, and we found that we were right on the mark. Everyone's paying about $1 a square foot. There are two retailers that I think are moving up to $1.50 a square foot, but in my perception of the actual utilization of the program is that increasing the rate doesn't necessarily drive more demand for the program. So
It's kind of interesting, we have different style houses, and when you read, not our house, but you have to have a beachy looking house to do the stuff to your front area, so it would be nice, because I think the Ecology Center has actually offered, different ideas about how to do your front lawn, because our house is not beachy, and that's all that's offered, are beachy things with palms and whatever. So it would be nice if maybe extended through that program, or maybe, I don't know, maybe some kind of something where they make a presentation, because it's very difficult to do the front if you don't have a beachy house.
absolutely.
So we actually had a presentation, yeah. Actually, Sarah Tracy is really starting to work with, on the drought and, having more, a lot more web, information out there, because, I'm sure this, eventually the states, we're gonna have more restrictions, so they're already starting to work on that, so and, yeah.
Is there any chance of increasing the maximum from 1,000 to something else?
I think that might actually increase program utilization.
Yeah, because
Instead of
that
the
gives
dollar,
people
but the-
incentive to pull out more lawn.
Yeah,
Why didn't I ask that question?
we can do it.
I think in front of the community center, at least a while back when it was installed, it's like a demonstration garden for
Right.
like drought tolerant.
Yeah.
So maybe we should remind people if they want ideas.
Yeah, I think some
Yeah.
examples would be fun,
Yeah,
just so people who don't live in, I don't know what a beachy house is, but
Flat.
yeah. Can you define beachy?
so, I know, but it would be, just some examples of different architecture with varying things.
That might be, yeah, that may be something that, we could get on the
Yeah, because
website,
it's-
to just
again,
get
it's-
examples of what you can replace your lawn with,
Yeah, I mean, if people have the visualization of it, then they go, oh, yeah, no, I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just sometimes,
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, our messages, we're gonna get those messages out there more about the drought, because we are gonna go to more restrictions for sure, so, Sarah is working.
Because I think Napa actually, not Napa, Marin County actually has more samples of the yards, not the beachy ones, but just different,
I can see the
you know.
beachy one. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, palms and stuff, that's
Yeah,
not,
that's a great idea.
some are faux colonials. That's not beachy, so.
Do they call those colonials?
I like that.
Staff's having all these conversations pretty regularly right now, and we're definitely looking at involving the public and also the landscaping professional community, because they make a lot of the recommendations to their clients to make changes. So those are pathways that we're exploring.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that question, Bob. Yeah.
If we finish this topic, I have a question related to our groundwater. Because of the Sonoma Valley, and then we have the sustainability in the groundwater agency. We are working on the fees. If any feedback from our local and the Forum City, users. How many wells we have?
Not very many.
Yeah.
So a significant portion of the city is outside of the jurisdictional groundwater subbasin, including all except one of our municipal production wells. So we haven't received a lot of feedback from city residents. But the lion's share of city residents are connected to our city water system. Very few wells within city limits that are used by private well owners and operators.
How about those residents around our city and the district limit? They applying for in the city, in the water service, or
So most of the developed portions of the valley that are to the city's north and west are served by Valley of the Moon Water District. The city's water system extends to a couple of rural residential areas directly to our east. There's about 130 service connections out there. And there is a moratorium on new service connections, but we do have an exemption policy for specific scenarios. I believe we've completed one this past year. It was a single-family residence located outside of the city, but along the alignment of an existing city water main. Small lot, no development potential for more units, and they submitted an engineering report demonstrating that their on-site well had failed, and they were granted permission to connect to the city's water system, and they're moving forward with that connection now. But, the LAFCO, the Local Agency Formation Commission, has a lot of say in those conversations.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I saw that you have challenges and the limited staff resources. What that mean? We cannot find a qualified and a technician or expert. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a notable shortage sector-wide in water. And some of that is really outside of the city's ability to control. But we've done our best. We've made diligent, good faith efforts to conduct several recruitments and have not received applicants that met the minimum qualifications to complete the job.
Wow, that is.
Are we
so
not,
this-
or is our salary schedule too low?
We did
Because
have-
don't our water technicians also do other things
Yeah.
within public works?
Yes, they do, and
Right.
through negotiations this year, we might be talking about like,
Yeah,
dividing.
certificate. Well,
Yeah.
because they're needed, I mean, we can't just have water operators and, maintenance people and streets maintenance, because, many times they're called to be all hands, and so, but there is the thought that we could provide certificate pay so that the people who have the water certs, can, have a little bit higher salary because they have the water certifications. So that's a way we could do it, because we're just too small to have just water people and.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's, from what I understand, that's sort of the issue, that neighboring districts are paying a lot more. And so we're not getting applicants because we're paying too low, but then we end up doing these consultants or these contractors
Right.
that are much more than if we just bump the salary a little.
Right, and so, we did look at the water supervisor, a number, I think in 2019-20. Compared to cities, we're not low. If you compare it to a water district, because remember, water
Right.
districts can raise the rates pretty easily, whereas cities have a.
Right, because no one
Yeah.
pays attention.
Right, well, and
Yeah.
they just raise their rates and then
Yeah,
they just,
right.
So,
That's
yeah,
a good
it's
point.
hard to compete against water districts. That's
Yeah.
always been the problem. It's like you'll train people and then they go to the water district because they can make more money.
Right. That's a good
Yeah,
point,
so that's always been a problem for city water, operators, so.
If their certification within the department would that be an incentive for people to stick around? Or you think once they're certified, it's like, I'm going to the big town or something?
It's hard. That's a hard question, but I do think we provide an incentive for them to get their certs and.
You pay,
I mean,
we
yeah.
pay for them to go to school or get certified? I mean, I don't know what.
Yeah. Or maybe we can get a training,
Yeah.
we can, encourage, especially if we can hire local young people. When we have the employment contract and then serve, 13 years and then encourage you to learn and got certified.
Yeah. Building a workforce is certainly something I'm interested in doing, and have coached some of our new and young operators through a city-funded. I mean, the education and training isn't actually expensive; it just takes time. So unfortunately, building a workforce is exactly what needs to do, and the right time to have done it was a couple years ago, unfortunately. But we're standing them up as fast as we can.
Interesting. Thank you.
Any more questions about water? Now let's move to cemetery, which is on page 63.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, so city cemetery enterprise fund funds operations of the 3 municipal cemeteries: the Mountain Cemetery, the Veterans Cemetery, and the Valley Cemetery. These encompass over 15 usable acres. Operations and maintenance responsibilities include burial and interment preparation and coordination, cemetery improvements, tree hazard assessment and abatement, grounds maintenance, mausoleum maintenance, road maintenance, and vandalism abatement. In prior years, the cemetery's fund budget showed expenses exceeding revenues, so the city's general fund made transfers to the cemetery fund to balance the budget. Some of the special accomplishments of the last fiscal year were that we managed to continue to provide compassionate and respectful customer service to residents during stressful and emotional times. We trimmed substantial overgrowth of vegetation and improved sightlines throughout Mountain Cemetery. And we completed construction of Peace Triangle number 2, which created 49 new in-ground cremains burial plots in the Mountain Cemetery Annex. Our goals for the next fiscal year include working with the City Council Ad Hoc Committee on cemetery strategy and options for the future, continuing to provide compassionate and respectful customer service, creating more cremain niches for sale in the Valley and Veterans cemeteries, conducting a tree hazard assessment in all of the cemeteries, reviewing the city cemetery services fee information, and continuing to responsibly maintain the cemeteries in a fiscally responsible manner. some of the increases in costs for next fiscal year include costs related to temporary staff in the cemetery department to provide continuing coverage during times of extended injury or illness from our full-time staff, and then increases in contract service costs for engravers that actually carve the names and dates into.
So, and that should be offset by revenues, though, right? Because that's a pass-through.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So it's an increase in the budget expense, but it's a pass-through, so.
So, the cemetery fund is an enterprise fund, and if you look at the bottom, I mean, this is completely bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about like our reserves and our extra funds and everything, but, and I don't, again, I'm not a municipal finance professional, so it's like, we have a healthy general fund, but this is $2 million in the red, basically. And so, it's basically all the same money, right? I mean,
It's actually not, it's a separate fund,
well,
but
no, I
what
know, but
happened
it's
is
city fund.
that the cemetery fund borrowed funds from the general fund, also from the endowment fund, and from the other fund to build the, which one was it? Was one of the mausoleums. Yeah, and so, and it has remained in debt.
Yeah, no, I meant to say, I mean, obviously it's a different fund, but at
Right,
some level,
right.
like,
It's yeah, I mean, and
It's all
so
fungible.
the major thing is this debt that's owed to the other funds. So,
Right.
and there's no way to recoup revenue to pay off that debt.
So how long do we just run a sort of a negative balance here without like
So,
writing, or, I mean, again,
According, yeah.
yeah, so,
But I think in reality, looks like the never will generate a couple of $1 million from this cemetery service to pay this. I want to suggest maybe we can talk with the, auditor or the CPA, got a consulting, how to we make an adjustment, because this is reality, never gonna pay back to the general
Right.
fund.
so.
We needed to
Yeah.
do some.
So I have had conversations with the auditor about, how we could, one of the ways is to not make it an enterprise fund, because it really hasn't been an enterprise
Well,
fund
it's sort of
from the
like
start.
an oxymoron.
Yeah, so, one of the ways is to make it a department of the general fund, and then the debt, the general fund would have to absorb.
Yes.
But we would also have the asset of so all the assets from the cemetery fund would become part of but this expense has to go back to the general fund then. So it would be a write-off. But we are doing the cemetery study, the one, I've had conversations with the consultant, and, their focus is really gonna be the mountain cemetery. They feel that there's, potential there just because of the historic nature. And the other thing is that we could, possibly, if we turned it into a park, we could probably, get some park funding for, in order to, help with, some of the operational things. And Mountain Cemetery would really be the one that we would focus on for that. So, but we could still make it a department of the city instead of, just having it, titled an enterprise fund when it's really not, so. I'm kind of excited about the cemetery study to see what they're, because when you talked to me, you said we're really gonna be focusing on that, on the mountain cemetery before, they'll definitely look at the other ones, but, because I think we can create some niches in both of those areas, to possibly bring in more revenue too, but, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, never paying it off, we're not, it's gonna be a long.
yeah, I actually think there's, I'm actually excited about the cemetery study as well, because I actually think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it
We
has to
just
be
don't know
this
how to
way.
run cemeteries.
Right, but maybe someone else does, or,
right,
Yeah.
right, there may be, there's potential, I think, some potential there, so, we have, we could be doing tours up there and,
Yeah,
things like
It could be a
that.
historic park, we could get
Right.
grants, we
Yeah,
could
right,
open
grants,
up a little
right,
space,
yes,
we
mhm,
could,
yeah. Yeah, so, So after we get the cemetery study, we talked about it and some of the potential there, then we can talk about how we're gonna, get rid of the debt, so.
Okay.
May I request that you all do public comment on this?
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you do that?
Because today we don't have a lot of, just a lot of Patricia
It's up to
says.
you.
Yeah,
I think it's fine. Yeah.
yeah, it's fine, yeah, if you have any,
So-
before we go
So I
further.
Before we
agree
break.
with Sue, actually both of the Valley Cemetery and the Mountain Cemetery are both historic. And I'd like to see you do a historic resource evaluation and apply for National Registry on that. I think that you're right, making it a park will possibly bring some funds in, but also the Native Sons of the Golden West are very interested in historic preservation, and they've talked about approaching the city as a group to help with the maintenance and stuff like that. So I think that having, community outreach, the rural cemetery in Santa Rosa is a very active group of people, of volunteers that completely take care of the cemetery. They have tours, they raise money. I think that and that's, a lot of that was, there were pioneers, but in Sonoma, we have a very special cemetery, and I think that we're kind of missing the boat on that. And we, as a historical society, people contact us and ask how they want to work up at the cemetery. They want to do something, So I think that if the city could figure out how to facilitate that, it would be a good idea.
That's great.
Great.
Great. Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, if we needed to apply for any grants or financial aid, or they will look at it on the financial statement. Definitely that is not acceptable. Showing negative $2 million.
That's a lot of money, Mr. Mayor.
That is a little bit of mistake and accumulated year by year.
Okay, are cemetery done? Do we want to go to the vehicle replacement, long-term building maintenance, and these, the vehicle replacement fund, the long-term building maintenance fund, and the MIS funds are actually internal service funds, so funds are transferred out from the general fund, all of the departments to fund. We have a schedule that we have listed all of our assets, all of the building assets, vehicle assets, and then,
What page? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
79.
Yeah, 79, sorry.
Thank you.
So, and what we do is we list all our assets, and then we look at the years, how much it will cost to replace those assets in a number of years. So, for all of our vehicles, for our computer equipment, and then for building maintenance. And we can go into detail into the funds, but really it comes in, so it's funded by transfers from the general fund, from the other departments as well. So, how much detail do you want to go into those? They're all separate funds, so each of the vehicle replacement, building replacement, and the MIS are separate funds.
Just a question on the replacement of the vehicles, do we look at making them electric vehicles when we can, or no? I mean,
Yeah.
people are gonna ask.
Yeah, so our sustainability coordinator actually just sent me an email letting me know that we've got a little grant to do a fleet conversion study.
There's one isn't there one in our parking lot?
There's a hybrid.
Right.
The building department has a Prius that's used by the building inspector, and the only other EV that's in the fleet is the police department, the little gem that the parking enforcement officer drives around. Fleet vehicles for public works, which are heavier duty, haven't really been supported by EV solutions to date, but the new Ford F-150 Lightning is apparently a contender for some of our lightweight trucks, so we'll be looking at that.
Have you looked at the price tag on that one? I
Haven't.
They're like 90 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah, I looked at them. And the waiting list is about 2 years.
yeah, so we've just been trying to replace some of our really old gasoline powered fleet trucks, and prices on those have gone up considerably.
Yeah.
And the wait lists are also years long.
Yeah,
for
well,
regular
they get
old
where they
trucks
are.
right
I mean,
now.
I just had this conversation with a family member who, was looking for a certain kind of vehicle. And we went through like all the electrical vehicles that were capable of doing the kind of, off-road and, pulling heavy machinery and whatever. And you're right, that it just is not a niche market right now for electrical vehicles, except for, the Ford Lightning, which actually is gonna, I think it's gonna be more of a suburban truck use more than a heavy, although you can get the heavy duty package on it, but you get it completely tricked out, it's $100,000.
Yeah.
It's a really expensive vehicle. I mean, it's a great vehicle, but it's very expensive. So eventually all cities and whatever, we're gonna have this problem. So hopefully we start getting, I mean, there's no vehicles to buy now anyway because of the supply chain issue and the chip issue and all of that, but anyway, thank you for checking into it. Anyways. I appreciate it.
And then,
I have a question of the MIS fund.
Uh-huh.
So the revenue comes from charges for services?
Right, so
What
every
does that mean?
department, so all the departments, it's charged out to each department who has certain computers, and then a percentage of that goes into the internal service fund so that we can replace the computers when they become obsolete. So it's a
So
way
it's
of,
charged to a department?
yeah, so charged
it's-
to the general fund.
So it's all general fund money?
What part of it could be water,
Okay.
and just because they also have computers that
Okay.
they're using. So yeah, so it's just every year there's like an incremental cost that is put into the internal service fund so that by the time we replace those, the equipment, that we have funds available.
So over 3 years, just the expense for this kind of, and I assume it's cybersecurity and all that,
It's
that's going up
cybersecurity, that's all it was.
significantly.
Yeah, so that last year there was a huge cost increase because of all the cybersecurity that came out of that
Yeah.
study that we did, and we need it. And actually our insurance is
That's
is
what you
now,
said.
yeah, it's now requiring it. So, but if you weigh it against the cost of when somebody does a cyber attack on a city, it's way less, so.
Or the increase in insurance rates if we don't have it,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but really, there's so many small cities that have been hit by cyber
Mhm.
attacks, and the cost is incredible when that happens.
So $500,000 a year out of our general, yeah.
Yeah, so. Yeah, unfortunately, but
Because
that's
every
the world.
every now and then you see editorials like in the Sonoma Sun, for example, or other places. They always say like, "Where is all the money going?" And I don't think people realize
Yeah,
this
right.
kind of detail that cities
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right, so that's a biggie, that was a huge biggie, and it's gonna stay like that for a while, so, because now it's the maintenance cost on all of that. The rest of the, funds, I don't know if you wanna go into detail on each of the funds that we have left, the budgets. We've got this swimming pool scholarship fund where we've had funds there for quite some time, just waiting until the swimming pool is built. We're gonna be transferring out 25,000 for scholarships this year once they get the pool, ready to go. And that will probably be an ongoing process, just so that, we can provide that support for people to
And
learn
so,
how to
as
swim.
I shared, we're going to be passing over a $1.5 million check
Right.
to the school district tomorrow, so I'm excited about that.
Right, right. And,
Wait, how much?
so the next one,
1.5 million.
the city's not
us?
doing, no.
No, no.
Oh, we said that too. We got here like, with our,
The Sonoma
was-
splashboard.
Okay.
yeah, I know, I had a little heart attack. I'm like, where's that? I didn't Yeah, exactly.
So
I-
the board appreciates, the cooperation.
Yeah, that
Because there's
is,
so many important things that
yeah.
Yeah,
we're gonna be doing, they're gonna be
Yeah.
doing.
right, and that will
Local
provide,
nonprofits, yeah, tremendous.
yeah,
I guess this is like a general question I have. Like, for example, in 2014, we put aside, was it 250K for swimming scholarships? And so now that's 8 years later. Does it just sit somewhere?
It sits in a fund. We have it separated into a fund, so it's isolated, so nobody uses that.
Yeah, but is
and
it
then
like
it earns
earning
interest.
money, any
Yeah.
money?
Or it's
Yeah,
an
it earns
investment.
Yeah, so
Like-
each of the funds do earn interest based on the dollar value of.
And are there like rules about the type of investments we can put?
Well, right now, investments,
But conceivably, it could have made a lot of money by now if,
right.
you know.
But the best
Well-
investment that we're doing right now, we haven't talked about investments for the city, but
Yeah.
we're, all of our funds invested in LAIF. We've talked to a financial advisor who I would like to come in and talk about an investment policy. He said the best you can do right now is LAIF. And so you really can't do any better. There may be, at some point, we would take, a portion of our, excess cash and, invest it. But it would be on using our investment policy, and we would,
Right.
we'll bring that forward to the finance committee, and then, but right now, we're doing the best we can with LAIF, so.
Of course,
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah,
I'm
so,
just curious.
but absolutely, every fund who has cash in it earns interest,
Okay.
okay? The next one is the Housing Trust Fund, and, you'll see that we've recorded, salary, did we put salaries? Yes.
Yes.
So the 30,000 salaries is in that fund, so we can, if you wanna make a decision now, we could
What-
just
what
put that all,
page?
I'm sorry, page 86.
86.
And if we could, if you want, the council decides, let's put it all back in the general fund, we'll have that fixed for the next, not allocate anything to the housing trust fund. For my new position.
So you're projecting at the end of the next fiscal year, we'll have over $1 million in the trust fund?
Yeah,
That's
And
good.
that's
This,
due to TOT.
yeah, the 1% THC.
my question is, we spent some of the money during the pandemic for housing assistance program,
Right, so you'll see, actually in 1920,
19.
100,000.
1920, yeah, 100, yes.
And then, 2021, it was another 50,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, but I want to see if it's possible in the future, we want to pay back, replenishing, to this if it's possible.
And we
Because
did discuss that
originally-
last budget, we discussed that in the last budget, we had it in the budget, and then council decided to take it out, so,
Okay.
to reimburse that fund, so.
All right, yeah, because this is on the long-term project. But anyway, on
But
the
that's,
house
you know,
related,
yeah. I was gonna say that's exactly what this fund was for, it was for, say with rental assistance, so, that's what we used it for, and then we also have, we reimburse for, ADUs. Yeah, we have we had set aside some funds so that people building ADUs could be reimbursed for that cost, so. And,
For
but
the
it-
cost of the application, or what cost?
Yeah,
Huh?
permitting fees.
Permitting fees,
Okay.
right, not for the cost of the
Right,
AD.
yeah, and
Just-
it hasn't
just
really
wanted
been
to be
used, I
clear.
mean, so the program's out there, so.
And potential, obviously, we still have to discuss and finalize that residential component, but potential in lieu fees from development projects would go to this fund.
yeah,
So conceivably,
Are you talking about
we
the,
were,
yeah,
like
Yeah.
residential component
Yeah.
in lieu fees.
yes, that would come in there too,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential, I think.
I think there's a
That's
lot of
great.
potential. I'm glad you brought up revenue because we haven't, we need to talk about the revenue side and, that any ability we have to, increase revenue, I'm always, looking for that. And I know we're gonna have a further discussion of parklets and, a fee structure perhaps, for that. So, that might go into some other project that we want to develop. There's also been talk of transfer fees for property transfer fees and other ways that we can capture vacancy fees on buildings that are sitting vacant for extended periods of time with people failing to keep them up to date and putting letters on their buildings.
/ businesses also.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Businesses, that's what I'm
Business.
talking about.
Businesses, right.
yeah,
Businesses.
sitting over
So,
there doing nothing.
I think that,
That is right.
I think, I'd love to have a conversation at some part, maybe it's in August at the retreat or something, about all of the different ways that we could increase revenue into this fund.
Yeah.
because we're not gonna be able to be a player in affordable housing. I mean, it's wonderful to see it double, and it's great that that we're the planning commission and we're having that conversation about how to resolve that. But I think we can even be more creative, and because it's such a need that we should be talking about all different ways of creating revenue for this fund.
Right, and that's why I'm sort of excited about this assistant to the city manager, because that would be manager that something that they could concentrate on. We've made stabs at it, and but there's the capacity for the planning department is limited, so that's why I'm excited about that position. And if you'll make a decision about where you want it funded from, if you want to take it out of here, we could just do that, and we can just take it out of here, put it back all in the general fund, and that's if council wants to let us know that.
And what are you talking specifically about?
Well, put all of the,
Yeah, all
instead of doing 30% to the
Yeah.
housing trust fund for the assistant to the city manager, we can just put it all back in the general fund.
Well, this is a budget. At any point, you could move $30,000, correct? I mean, so I don't see any reason to move it at this point. I think that if it becomes necessary that a fund needs $30,000, you know where to find it. So, I mean, to me, it's it doesn't really matter because it's a budget. It's not,
Okay.
you can move it. But I mean, whatever my colleagues decide,
Yeah.
I'm fine with. But
The other
movable.
way
Makes
to
sense,
think it
yeah.
is you might think of it as, well, if we put it all back in the general fund and then we find out that the housing, that she's able, or he or she is able to bring in grants or does bring in revenue, then maybe at a later time we could reallocate it to the housing trust fund just based on the revenue. So up to you. It's your
Yeah,
call.
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense because right now not necessary, using the housing the fund to pay that specific employee.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my reticence about it was, obviously 30,000, and then you have, so it ends up being like 40.
30.
Right, because of
The
the
benefits.
allocation of
Yes.
other benefits.
But, the revenue is obviously, as Councilwoman Lowe mentioned, very important, like looking for ways to boost revenue to this fund, but I'm also thinking about what we could do with it. And again, a lot of this is beyond my expertise in terms of municipal finance, but if I know if you have a revenue stream of like $600,000 to $800,000 a year from the TOT, is there a way to finance, do bond issues, again, I don't know, but meaning we could do more with than just $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, and so the goal would be, in my view, to build up this fund as large as possible,
Right, so, and I
thinking
think
that you could do more
yeah,
with it, and so.
the major thing that I would be looking at is CDBG grants. There's quite a bit out there now, and
Are we large enough?
well, I don't know, but I just got.
Yeah,
I just got from our we get our lobbyist sends us stuff all the time. I'm like, oh, could we?
Because
and I
it's
don't, we don't really have
having
anybody to
co-
concentrate on
Yeah,
that.
having come from the largest city in the county and now to one of the smallest, we really lose because transportation hubs, right? You get incentive as a city. What do we have, a transportation hub of 2 people at a bus stop? That's not right, that's not fair. And so I think that we need to be able to, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but it's.
So,
I was just
It's
always
unfair.
thinking, if we needed, let's say we wanted to do a $15 million project, but we obviously don't have that. But if we have $600,000 coming in every year, you could potentially finance it.
I don't really know.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that all of this is. Just questions that have come in recently. I'm like, well, I need a housing expert because
Right.
and I think that any city manager would
I think
make a
we need
housing
an assistant to the city manager.
assistant to the city
Yeah,
manager.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
No, I think it's great.
I'm
I
so
think
excited.
there's one benefit for using this fund for that position, and that person knows. It's kind of like, all right, get us at least $30,000 this year.
Yeah, pay for yourself.
You pay for
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
I mean, I've worked on projects where literally I come up with brilliant ideas, and my boss has said, "That's great, let's do it. Find the money." And I either do or I don't. But, so there is a little bit of, I think, intrinsic, motivation when you know that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really bother me either way. That
Yeah,
was just, I was trying to explain
No,
what I
it's a
was
good
talking about.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
But
think it's
I'm
that.
thinking, because here we symbolize to say this is a housing fund. But originally, this account set up, and the full name is Affordable Housing Fund. We should honor our original.
No, it was called the Housing Trust Fund, and we actually have, like, I looked at, because I wanted to see what it could be used for, Housing Trust Fund, and there's a whole definition on everything was, and that's, as it's set up, it's called the Housing Trust Fund, so.
But that is 1% at the beginning. Why we put this money to this fund? That's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Sonoma City Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Well,
That is not for some other purpose. Yeah, that is a specific, purpose.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, because when we
Point
use
taken.
this money, should be directly related. In the future, we build up affordable housing, helping the people to get an affordable housing.
Well, I think when it was established, they put together a resolution of what you could do with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
And so you could
Yeah.
develop affordable housing, you could potentially buy an apartment building and deed
Right,
restrict
there's
it,
quite a few
you could
things you can do,
provide,
yeah.
when we're talking
Rental
about what we could
assistance.
do with it, rental assistance, we could even provide, the state's doing this now, down payment assistance.
Right.
There's a lot of different things
Right, right.
conceivably we could do.
Right, and
so.
other cities have other programs, like we looked at, the town of Truckee, they have quite a few programs. So, yeah, I mean, that's, it's exciting what we could do with, and so it's just where you, like, cost allocation, when you use cost allocation, you're trying to match people's
Right.
costs to what they're working on, so that's part of the cost allocation, so.
My understanding of this affordable housing, for example, we accumulated $2 million, and then there was a land in the city, and then we can buy this land, and then for the developer and build up the affordable housing. That is always in my, maybe it's wrong. Yeah.
Well, prior,
How about-
but with redevelopment agency,
Yeah,
those
the
things
bottom
were,
line,
that was
Well,
happening.
I would only
Before
want
the
to put 20% down and
dissolution of
finance it.
redevelopment, that was happening.
Right, right.
Look
And that's-
around the city.
I mean, I'd be happy to send you like the Housing Trust Fund, what it was done by resolution and what it could be used. It's used for all those things. I mean, that's a possibility down the road if that's something you want to manage. So there's all those.
Well, that's why I don't know if we want to raid that trust fund when we've got enough in the general fund to support the salary.
Right. So can we take a vote?
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Bob, are you making a motion to that?
I'll make a motion that we pay for the assistant to the city manager out of the general fund.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Felder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barnett,
Yes.
Mayor Dean,
Yes.
Councilmember Abramonte,
yes.
Councilmember Lou.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
great, thank you.
But that can always change in the future,
Yeah, in the future.
while we figure out how we
Along
want
with
to do
beachy
with it.
houses.
Let's just hold it
Yeah.
there.
I don't know about
Now
these
we've
beachy
got a
houses.
chance to-
I'll show you, they're all.
Okay, and then, the following fund it's called the Intergovernmental Transfer Fund. And it has to do with funding that comes from Medi-Cal and, payments for our ambulance transports. We pay the government to get
What
us
page?
back.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, on
88.
page 87.
Or
It's
87.
it's the most confusing thing, but we pay the government to get us some of our Medi-Cal funding back. So we pay them, but we get more back in Medi-Cal. So when they take when somebody takes an ambulance ride, they have Medi-Cal, and so they don't have to pay the full amount. But they get us back some of that funding.
It doesn't come to us, the city, or
It comes to the city.
The district?
It comes to the city, because we get the ambulance revenue, so we get all of this revenue.
Okay, thank you.
It actually has built up, a substantial, fund balance. We are using some funding this year to pay off the final year of the, SAFER grant people, because this year it went way up, 441,000. This is the last year of that grant, so, and they've talked about possibly getting, additional funding for that, so, That'll be
Because
down
the
the road.
reality of a fire department is they don't go to fires, now it's medical calls. Very low percentage of, of fires, and which thank goodness, I guess, because of
Right.
codes and things like that that have done that. But so this is to our benefit.
Right, so we get all that revenue, so that's it. That's, is that the last one? Or we have a bunch? So anyway, so there's all the other funds. So I think what I'd like to do is send you the spreadsheet that Lisa did about, that got the market rate, what we would charge instead of the dollar, what it would cost these nonprofits to rent from us. And so that is an additional benefit that we're providing, not just funding, but we're also providing that benefit. So, and that will give you an idea, and I didn't know and what I'd like to do is just send that spreadsheet out to you each separately, and then you can ask me maybe,
Individually.
yeah, questions, and we can get those answered. And
I guess I don't understand. They rent what?
so Vintage House, they
Oh, God, okay,
they-
now I get it.
yeah, they pay $1, but if we rented that to them at market rate, it would be quite a bit higher. So we're not only providing funding to them, we're also providing
Right.
a low rent,
Yes.
like $1 rent.
And it's a larger building than say the
Yeah.
Marcy House. Meaning if we're trying to be equitable with our
Right.
nonprofits,
Well,
like,
Yes,
They're paying $1 for the land, aren't they, not the?
well, the land,
Yeah,
and that's the
yeah.
hard thing, trying to find
They own the
land,
building.
and
That's
how much
20
land is worth.
yeah, $25
How much you could rent
for
land to people,
25
that's a
years.
difficult one.
Vintage House owns the building.
Yeah, that's right, so that one's a little bit difficult,
it's a
that one's
land
sort of probably not the best, but
land
we're trying to
lease.
figure out what the land is, I mean, that may not be possible. But some of the other ones that we provide, free, it's really free rent is what it is.
Yeah.
We own our own building.
Or,
But they still own it.
all right, right now is 5:33. Yeah, I think
Yeah, so I think
We-
we're, really, that's.
We did it.
yeah, send
Yeah,
us
we
an
did it.
email, see what is the next good day for us.
Okay, well, actually, I think we'll just take it to the June first. So
June
what we'll
1st?
do is, if you have questions, then I can answer them before that date.
June.
And then what we'll do is we'll bring it to, city council on the 1st, the budget to be adopted. And, if you have too many questions in it and we need to come back, we'll come back on the 15th. But we will bring it for adoption on the 1st with, and if you have changes, but if, like at that meeting you say, oh no,
there
we
could be a
don't
lot
wanna.
of discussion
Yeah.
June
Yeah.
1st, and then
Yes.
we could
We
always
could
adopt it on the 15th. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
that sounds perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Public
thank
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike,
thank you.
Soriano.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
They did a great job.
Great job.